What is up, RotoGrinders? It's the NFL Pick 6 Show, Week 8. Myself, Dean Shavelson, joined by John Daigle. John Daigle, of course, media, ETR, established the run. Two of the absolute best in the business, as well as Rich Hribar. Rich Hribar, sharp football analysis. Shout out to Rich. He's dethroned Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson
Finally.
is no longer, well, maybe not. Maybe Liam Neeson's reign's going to continue.
Dude, I honestly thought just for maybe I would absorb the bit just to make it, because he's on the logo now, and just keep it going, man. Like make it a Liam Neeson thing. I might miss him.
Hribar took down the five-man contest. We do our movies later on in the show. Of course, we front load the football because we know not everybody here is for our movie content. First hour and a half, we're going to be talking about the week eight. Just 10 games once again, because 6 teams are on bye: Arizona, Detroit, Jacksonville, Vegas, the Rams, as is Seattle. Of course, we talk about the main slate. We don't talk about Minnesota and the Chargers on Thursday night. We don't talk about the Packers or Pittsburgh. We're not messing with Jaden Daniels and Kansas City on Monday night. Should be a fun game. We have a 10-gamer. Reebs, how did you take it down? Last week you kind of sort of tanked. What was your and did you throw out lineup? Was it a big enough lineup?
He didn't tank. Calvin really got injured. He did not tank.
Well, who did he start at quarterback? I mean, he started at quarterback with
I did start
Cam Ward. Yeah,
kind of a half tank, if nothing else.
You know what? I had the initial placeholder was a Spencer Rattler double, and I came off it and just played a Mahomes double in that one. Yeah. I galaxy brained my way into, and I did play a lot of Rashee Rice, especially in DraftKings, but I galaxied my way into like Xavier Worthy has all the leverage, and he had no leverage.
Yeah. Well, they also didn't need him to do anything. Because,
I had some good teams though.
They were taking knees with like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, something like that.
Yeah, just like running Rashard Smith.
Yeah, everybody wanted to leave. Like, what are we doing here?
The fun stat going around is that the Chiefs had more first downs than the Raiders ran plays.
It's not true, right? It's like
no, it's true. No, it's 100%. The Raiders only ran 30 plays. The Chiefs had 31 first downs.
I didn't know that. That's amazing. Yeah. Has that ever happened before? I feel like that's something you probably maybe like in college, like a 60-0 route, but man,
I don't know. And those managed leagues individuals who have the Chiefs defense not only got that, now they get to be 12.5-point favorites on Monday night against Marcus Mariota, potentially without Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel. So kind of lucking into back-to-back games here with the Chiefs defense.
Everything is coming up Chiefs. Yeah, that's going to be a fun one for sure, but kind of a bummer. No Daniels. But again, we're not focusing on that. We do have some big totals. 10 games, 3 late. Come on, 6-4. We got spoiled a couple times, 6-4, 7-3, not terrible. I didn't look ahead, but hopefully there's no like 8-2s. Really don't like that. That's not fun for the old red zone. Daigle, you have any general thoughts? I know one of the things that we talk about, I see you guys tweeting about the chalk. The general chalk is like, it feels like, I don't want to be prisoner of the moment, but it feels like just chalk in general has been smashing. Is that something that you would agree with? And is that something that's going to continue going forward? Who knows? And how are you handling that?
But
go ahead.
I think we're just collectively all better at this though than we were.
I think projections are better, and that's what naturally makes everyone better to gravitate then to the chalk.
Except for like last week not playing Breece Hall, who I might bring up this week but like last week when the optimals were spinning out Breece Hall, I was like, what is happening? Like, what is going on this week?
But the sharp cash game players knew better. They were like, this is wrong, which is why it still takes your brain, and I'm not going to play Breece Hall at all. So the people who won cash games last week, literally that's all they did was pivot away from Hall, got to an Olave lineup instead. And then, we'll see what happens this week because there are some questionable projections. There are a lot of different ways to go. Some listeners reached out to me because they did get on that Eagles-Vikings game, which did decide a lot. Last week, by the way, there was a lot of different ways to go. The Millie Maker, I know it was a Justin Herbert double, which makes sense when you think about it. It was two tight ends with a Rondé Gadsden, so it was still a double cheap tight end build. He just correlated stack instead, which that's how you think about winning lineups. That's super sharp. But then also in mid and smaller field, the high stakes stuff, it was Carson Wentz with Jordan Addison and AJ Brown coming back. Just because what Wentz allowed you to spend only at $5K still lets you get to AJ Brown, Jordan Addison over 100 yards, and then play the chalk with JT around that.
Yeah, we talked about it last week as far as two tight ends. We talked about how much you liked the tight ends last week, how much you didn't really like the depth at the wide receiver pool.
Well, we talked about doing it with McBride. We talked about playing McBride and a cheap tight end, and they all failed except for Gatson.
Yeah. Who broke Antonio Gates' record instead of failing.
Well, that and the Broncos game were like big swings. I was in the front end of a lot of tournaments last week until like the oh shit phase hit for the Chargers and hit for the Broncos, especially the Broncos. And shout out to my partner I do a show with on Fridays. Hilo was on Marvin Mims and Bo Nix stacks on Friday's show. And, for 4 quarters, it was rough. But he literally scored the most fantasy points in a quarter outside of Tyreek Hill against the Buccaneers, when 2020, when he did 200 yards in the first quarter. Remember that game? Like when he opened the game at 200 yards. But Bo Nix scored 35 fantasy points in a quarter. Quarter.
My Saturday night with the edibles and the solver, I had a Bo Nix nuke. I had Nix, Harvey, Troy Franklin, and Cortland Sutton, and I woke up and said that was too many edibles. Let's tinker with this thing. And instead, which was right, and then instead I got to Wentz doubles with Saquon Barkley, which that was the right environment, which is why our listeners won with Hurts doubles. It just happened that the Vikings made the red zone 6 times, and he ended up kicking 4 field goals because Carson Wentz. You got the true vintage Carson Wentz experience in that game.
Denver put up, I think, 30 points in the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken.
33. All of them. They had all their points in the fourth quarter.
It was the first time. It was the largest lead ever. The last 6. It wasn't even the fourth quarter. It was the last 6 minutes.
They had us in the first half, that gift, but even more than
the
that.
first 54 minutes, they had us. Yeah.
That was pretty spectacular. And shout out to Jackson Dart, who, like the Giants were, Dart was awesome. I don't think he really did it in the ground so much, but in the air. What do you have, 3 or 4 touchdowns in total?
If you followed us, you bet that under on his rushing yards.
What did he end up with? I think he ran one in, but he was well under, right? Yeah, that was a hell of a call. You were talking about how Denver does a great job shutting down the rushing quarterbacks. All right, that's enough for last week. This is a forward-thinking show. We talk about DFS. We care about this week and this week only. This week we have a 10-gamer. And I think there's a lot of different spots this week as well. We'll talk about it. There is actually some debate. Kind of went back and forth here. Daigle had 3 original games, and sounds like there's a 4th one that's kind of on the fringe, other receiving votes. Maybe we'll talk about that throughout the show. But the first one, we're talking about the Bears. The Bears at Baltimore. Baltimore coming back from their bye. We're expecting Lamar to be back. 49.5 is the total. Daigle, start wherever you want to start with Baltimore and Chicago.
And the official guesses of the week from Carl's B. So far, so good. As yes, Chicago Bears, definitely one of them. And let's talk about this game as Lamar Jackson, like you said, is back. Let's just pretend to make sure he is back here. And if so, he is, I think, my number 1 quarterback on this slate personally. Just going back to who the Ravens were at the beginning of the year in the first month when they had him, led the league with 9.5 yards per pass attempts. They were also 3rd in yards per play, 3rd in EPA per play as one of the most efficient offenses in the league. And then it's also about how on paper in week 7, exclusively, Lamar matches up against this defense that is creating turnovers for Chicago. And that's why I would imagine they continue doing the same thing they've done since their bye, in which they've altered to play 82% of their snaps from zone coverage. They just played 26th highest rate of zone coverage. That's it before the bye. And if that continues, we do have Lamar Jackson's stats against zone coverage this year, 37 of 46 for 9.5 yards per attempt and the highest quarterback rating in the entire league. It's not just that, but it's also about the stacks are pretty cheap too, like depending how you want to play it. Zay Flowers, first of all, this game is kind of funny because the Bears and Ravens are allowing the most slot points of any teams in the league. So they're now playing each other. And they're also 2 teams that kind of move a lot of players around the slot too. But for Lamar Jackson, the cheaps can be stacked. Zay Flowers, remember, from Lamar, was 7th in yards per route run, had the 7th highest target share in the league. Isaiah Likely is only 2,600 if you want to get there. And he had a 70% slot rate with a season high routes run on the dropbacks from Cooper Rush and Snoop Huntley the last time we saw the Ravens play. So definitely cheap ways to play this game with Lamar as well. Assuming he's back, I think it's going to be a really exciting environment.
Rich, Baltimore?
Yeah, I mean, I can get with the Ravens. I saw it was Kyle Boryani had the tweet. This is the cheapest Derrick Henry's ever been on DraftKings in like 7 years. So that's kind of fun, like, to get back in this, especially if you think that, the Ravens, being home favorites, like they opened the line, like basically 6.5 point favorites. I'm very curious. I'm very curious just to see like what the Ravens look like defensively coming out of this game, just because they were so beaten up before the bye. They got a couple guys back, and they're getting a couple more guys back. They got Kyle Hamilton and Marlon Humphrey right back before the bye. They played pretty well against the Rams. The Rams lost Puka Nacua. There was some like wind stuff, so maybe that had some elements. They're getting Roquan Smith and Chidobe Awuzie back out of the bye. They're never getting Matabuke back, so maybe that just is like the run defense will always be kind of spotty the rest of the year. But I'm not ready to say like this defense is just one like we're going to lock in and exploit, especially with the way Caleb Williams is playing. Like Caleb Williams is still doing and having all the same shortcomings he's had. It's Ben Johnson's found a way to like gloss over it. Like he's put a lot of lipstick around this pig so far this year. Caleb Williams has the highest inaccurate throw rate in the NFL. He has the worst completion rate versus expectation in the league. Two of his QB1 weeks of his 3 come with rushing touchdowns. So he's needed those to kind of propel him. So I'm not ready to say like the Bears are going to handle their business either. Like they've gotten there through the run game these past 2 games. Maybe they have fixed that, moving Theo Benedet to left tackle, running a little more outside zone. But I'm curious to see what the Ravens look like defensively in this game, more so than, just Lamar coming back. Because we know when Lamar plays, like this offense is good, and they're one of the best in the league. So I'm very curious to see, though, what the Ravens look like slowing down the Bears here.
I counted this really quickly. I may have misstepped here, but I think Derrick Henry is the 14th most expensive running back on DK this week. It's kind of clustered.
And with 6 buys. With 6 buys.
That's wild. That is really, really wild. That's flat 6K. And then Zay Flowers is also super cheap. 5.4 seems too cheap considering his ability, considering his talent. So Baltimore is going to be popping for sure. How about Chicago, Rich? You're talking about this Baltimore defense, how healthy they're going to be, as opposed, and you're talking about the shortcomings here from the quarterback. Is Caleb going to be able to overcome it? If he does, I guess Odunze is the best option. Is that a fair enough price for you?
So far, he's really been cold since his breakout in Detroit. I mean, he's only had last 4 weeks 3, 4, 2, and 2 receptions. He's the one that's felt kind of the brunt of Caleb Williams' inaccuracy over the past 4 games. 27% of his targets have been inaccurate. So that's really hurt him. He still does lead the team at 50% of the end zone targets. So you still get some scoring appeal, but like we lived this last year with him too, where he looked like he would pop and then just really, the connection between him and Caleb was off pretty consistently. Then this team's been run heavy out of the bye. It's really kind of hurt him in terms of first read targets, per fantasy data stuff. Like he's really plummeted 18%, 17% the past 2 weeks. He was over 27% in the first 4 games of the season. I'm scared of the Bears here. Like I'm definitely scared. Obviously the Ravens could just be as bad as they were. I'm just not ready to think that that's who they're gonna be moving forward, right? Like we see this every year where like you have a team maybe has some cluster injuries for a section of the season and it doesn't represent who they are. I kind of do believe that with this Ravens defense. Like I said, though, never getting Matabuke back is big, but it's really weird because they've come out of the bye, the Bears, and they've tried to run a lot more play action. They've run a lot more pre-snap motion. Caleb Williams is like one of the rare quarterbacks who actually is worse with pre-snap motion this year. He's like 2.3 yards worse per pass attempt on pre-snap motion plays. Usually it's kind of a cheat code. I think last week we were like kind of going to like looking at Caleb a little bit, that Saints game again, like I said, the weekly Saints game. And Caleb just isn't getting there, man. Like I don't know if it's going to happen for him. Maybe it's going to take a while, but like he has so many flaws as a passer that it's hard to really have a lot of faith in him, to be honest.
Also not getting there is DJ Moore. Like that hasn't happened once all season long. And every single game, 5 targets, with the exception of 1 where he got 6 targets. And that's it. I know he had the testicle issue one of those games, but still, it's just not happened just yet. I I have a hard time rostering him again. Possibly that Baltimore defense is still pretty vulnerable, but I'm curious, Daigle, what do you have as far as the Bears? It doesn't sound like Rich is terribly enthused about Chicago. You got the yellow boots in the ground. What say you?
That's completely understandable, especially because there is a world, although they don't correlate, where Lamar, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, all these guys still get there because, again, as you mentioned, the Ravens are 1-5. Only 4 1-5 teams in NFL history have made the playoffs. There's no time to F around out of the bye. They have to get shit done beginning this week. So there could be points for them just all over the place. Having said that, yeah, DJ Moore's the one where you still miss me on just because he's the one, as I mentioned, the Ravens allowing so much from the slot, but the increase of Luther Burden, not to mention Colston Loveland playing more, even this past game, when Cole Kmet was on the field, Colston Loveland ran more routes. They were actually getting him more involved out of after the couple weeks ago when they returned from their bye. But because of all that, DJ Moore's the one who suffered with a rate of routes just 20% from the slot these past 2 weeks out of the bye. So he's still the one that maybe we'll continue getting a couple more carries for, but right now the ceiling just absolutely is not there for his usage.
All right. Manungai getting some love there in the chat. We saw him get a bump last week at 13 carries against New Orleans. Not sure how much we need that, Rich. Any interest in Manungai or anything else you want to sort of focus on as far as this game? It feels like Baltimore, is more interesting. Lamar coming back, of course, is pretty interesting. Zay, the price looks appealing. Derrick Henry, in theory, he has that home run game coming at some point. Anything else you want to throw at me as far as this game, or shall we scoot along?
No, I think that's kind of the feel is more Raven stuff because the pricing is representing kind of what the Ravens have been to this point, and we believe that they could be, something else, moving forward, whether that's making the playoffs or not. That's not really our field. We just want them to score as many fantasy points as possible this week, while they're all cheap too. So I have no problem with that. Definitely, if we don't get Cole Kmet this week, Loveland is definitely in play just as one of those pay down guys. You're already hearing the squeeze, right, for Ryan Poles of because Tyler Warren's been incredible and they're not even playing Colston Loveland. It's just they're dealing with that. It's just so it would be a kind of a spot to get kind of Colston Loveland going as a cheap punt play in DFS. But again, I'm not really leaning into anything Baltimore, any defensive Baltimore metrics. I'm not leaning into right now, because I just don't think it's an accurate representation based on who they've had to put on the field over their opening 6 games versus what they're going to put on the field here.
When we talk about Manungai as well, it's not just that Swift is still they're not really taking away from Swift. They're just involving Manungai more. So Swift could still be a good play potentially, but also we're really talking about the overall view of the Week 8 slate. And that entails Jonathan Taylor and Bijan Robinson headlining here. So anytime you talk about a cheap running back, just remember you may have to push one of those guys out of the way. That's a really scary prospect considering both are going to come in, at 30-40% ownership.
FanDuel made them both over 10K.
Good.
It's tough. Yeah.
They were like, we're not messing. Well, Taylor's been at 10K for a few weeks already, but
rightfully so. He's been earning it. He's been earning it. And CMC's 9-1, and
Bijan's 10. So it's very hard to stack those guys.
Only one of them plays the Dolphins, though. I'm pretty sure only one of those guys plays the Dolphins this week. CMC plays Houston, so it'll be interesting to see how.
And Judkins wasn't even good last week.
No, he was terrible.
He kind of luck boxed. He kind of lucked out.
Although his long touchdown run, his 20+ yarder that he had the spin move was pretty sweet. Yeah.
Game number 2 we're going to talk about in just a second here. We late swapped to it. Before we talk about that, do want to mention we have an exclusive deal for our listeners, brand new. You can unlock all of Rich Hribar's exclusive fantasy football analysis over at Sharp Football for 50% off with code PICK6, PICK, the number 6. Just go to sharp.football, use the code PICK6 on a weekly, monthly, or season-long fantasy football package. Go ahead and save big over there. Game 2, this was a late swap. Giants, Philly, old-time rivals. 43.5 is the total. Turns out, when Jalen Hurts throws the ball, good things can happen. Good, and he fed 2 receivers. 2 receivers got there. A.J. Brown does not care about your fantasy team. He could have maybe possibly scored there at the end, but he did the smart thing. It just kind of ended the game. And, of course, Devontae Smith, he got loose. And Jackson Dart just he will not be stopped. He was stopped in the ground, but not stopped in the air last week. Rich, where do you want to start with the Giants and the Eagles? One of the lower totals on the board, but still some pretty interesting pieces.
Yeah, interesting. We've got our first week too. This is our first week where we have rematches from the season. We have two. Obviously, this one, this just happened 2 weeks ago, and we've got Colts and Titans who also played earlier in the year. So it's always kind of fun when you get kind of these adjustment games, and a lot of weird things took place in that first game between the Giants and Eagles in that Thursday night game. We'll probably talk about it a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about the Eagles. Like, we're starting to see, like, because all season they've tried to like find their identity. And I really do think like this past like 3 weeks that like this is a passing team. I think it's taken a while to find there, but like they've moved so many parts on the offensive line. Even their anchors, Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson, have been better in pass protection in the run game this year, but they've been missing. Landon Dickerson's been out of the lineup. Cam Jurgens left last week's game in it with an injury. Ironically, like the Cam Jurgens injury, like actually may have been like a blessing in disguise. So when Cam Jurgens left the game, they had to bring in Brett Toth, who like he struggles with snapping like out of shotgun. So Jalen Hurts played a career high 41% of his snaps under center last week. And we talk about this a little, like when we talk about Kyler Murray swapping over to Jacoby Brissett, the Cardinals, like when you can play under center in today's NFL meta, it unlocks a lot more against these shell coverages, right? Like the play action pass, the pre-snap motion, all this stuff now can come into play when you're just versus like standing in static shotgun. Like is really what the Eagles have been doing for the large part of this year. And some of that is, due to Jalen Hurts and like how he plays too. And like, how Kyler Murray plays. But in that first matchup that these teams had, the Giants went like extremely, man coverage heavy in that game. They played man coverage on 33% of Jalen Hurts' dropbacks. It's the highest rate that Jalen Hurts has seen in a game this season. They have 2 injuries coming up in this game. They have Javon Holland last week's game, and Paulson Adebo last week's game. So if they're not up, that opens up some. They're going to remain aggressive for them to kind of swerve into this pass and keep attacking them on the boundaries. So I'm very curious too if they blitz Jalen Hurts as much. They only pressured Jalen Hurts 29% of the times, despite playing a lot of man coverage. And they blitzed him only 19% of the time, which is the second lowest blitz rate he faced all year too. So I'm curious to see what adjustments are made. We know we're going to get a lot of adjustments for Vic Fangio because they had multiple pieces injured in that game as well. But I think the Eagles are best suited to be a passing team. The best versions we've seen of this Eagles offense all year have been when they've gone pass rate over expectation. The second half of the Rams game, I know they lost that game against the Broncos, but they got a 17-0 lead by being aggressive against the Broncos throwing the football last week. Again, pass heavy. Even in that game against the Giants, the first game, like they were moving the football up and down the field. They just, threw that pick six, or not pick six. It was ran back like the 30, but the interception kind of thwarted them. But I think this team is best suited to pass. They've got the talent to do it, and they're starting to really lean into it.
Saquon Barkley does not have a 20-yard rush this season. Doesn't have a 19-yard rush this season. Eye test, he just kind of seems like he's a little beat up. I don't know. It's kind of like just dude on the couch watching the old red zone. And didn't work out the first time there were a Reds game. Let's see if he has another crack at it. Daigle, how do you see Philadelphia and the Giants?
In a very similar manner. And as someone who tried to play Barkley last week, I can tell you it's not fun at all. Even in a spot where he should have gone nuts. And it's not even about like facing the highest rate of stacked boxes. Even this year when he's faced 5 guys or fewer stuffing the box, he's averaging just 3 yards per carry. I don't blame him for all of it. I also blame Kevin Petula. I blame the offensive line injuries and just them trying to make shift and replicate what the success Barkley had last year. But right now, it's as Reeves said, expecting adjustments, and just still would prefer to get my exposure to this game through Hurts doubles. It even feels good because like last week, I'm not even sure they tried to figure it out. We only saw 23 pass attempts for Hurts, but everyone's so good that you can backdoor success as they did because Hurts averaged 14 yards per attempt and both Smith and Brown got there. And so like you could still be right when you're wrong because that's how good the Eagles passing game can be. We also saw a couple of weeks ago, even though we're expecting the coverage to be a little bit different, on the entire season, the Giants really are still struggling against tight ends. They're one of 4 teams seeing 9 targets per game to tight ends. The last spot was Dallas Goedert here in week 6, getting 11 targets, had a touchdown in that game as well. So you could play it a variety of different ways, honestly, if you think the Giants are going to push back a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to ask Brown or Smith. They're just saying both. Steak or lobster, both. You're just going to double it up. That's what you're doing.
I prefer Brown. Like, even if I don't play Hurts, I could see myself playing Brown, just assuming we're going to get the man coverage. And we show up every week citing what Brown does against man coverage, which is obvious because when you look downfield, even Kevin Petula knows we're just going to let it fly. Like, this guy's going to get the ball every single time. We see him one-on-one with the third highest rate, 38% of his targets against man coverage, still top 5 in yards per route run as well. So I could see myself solo playing Brown regardless if I get there with Hurts, but Hurts is definitely like on my radar to play too. On the other side of the ball, also, it's like Reeves said, we're not sure how they're going to play on defense against Jackson Dart since no Kenyon Mitchell, no Jalen Carter. Again, that's what Reeves pointed out. And the Eagles, like, oddly led the league in week 6 with 64% of their snaps from man coverage that week. But around that, when they've had Kenyon Mitchell, they can really put on that Vic Fangio camouflage and mask everything pre-snap and then drop guys back to play a lot more zone, throw a lot more safeties deeper. And that does seem terrifying and a lower total against Jackson Dart. But one, Jackson Dart's outs have obviously included like the league's 4th highest scramble rate. He's averaging 8.7 carries per week in his 4 starts. Also, we've tried to poke holes in the past now, the last couple of weeks against the Eagles on Thursday night, against the Broncos last week, who literally did not allow anything to rushing quarterbacks until Jackson Dart said otherwise. And so, although I probably won't play Jackson Dart, who am I to say that he can't have success in this spot? Because he's a lot of fun and just honestly, he's really good.
Yeah, he just every single game, I think he's seen the medical tent at least once. It feels like. Is that a streak he's got going? Can he stop doing that? Just stop taking those hits.
Whereas Scattaboo is in the end zone and lowering his head for more contact, and he just never goes to the tent.
Scattaboo's favorite play, ever was the Gus Farrat celebration, banging your head in the wall. I could see Scattaboo he could do that, like a shout out, an homage to that at some point in his career. Did you have a preference? Did you have a lean Hribar as far as the Philadelphia receivers, one over the other?
I also like I like both. I mean, it's a concentrated passing trade. You can include Goddard in that as well. I like them both. I do prefer Brown just because he was on his way to a monster game in the first matchup and then just didn't really do anything after the half. So to be fair though, Devontae Smith would have had a 90-yard touchdown in that game and got overthrown. So again, just both dudes, they both look good. I mean, Devontae Smith's been on a little bit of a heater too. I mean, he's been a wide receiver 1 scorer in 3 of his past 5 games. So there's plenty of upside with him as well. If you flip over the cards and AJ Brown's looking to be immensely more popular, I think that there is an equal pivot opportunity, but I'm in them both.
Devonta has 4 more targets than Brown the last 3 games as well. The peripherals look better too. It's just we know what kind of coverage is Brown. Yeah. Like they look up and they're like, okay, like it's Brown who's getting the ball. On the other side, it's just really hard because we've talked about a couple weeks ago, for example, like when the Eagles don't have Jalen Carter, it's obvious. Like maybe we could sneak in even Dart, maybe Cam Scattaboo. But if we're expecting everyone healthy here, I don't expect them to have success in the running game. Not to mention, like Tyrone Tracy was mixed in a hair more last week. His touchdown, I don't really look much into because, like, Dean, you could have, not to knock on your athleticism, but you could have scored that 30-yard touchdown run last week. Just no one touching even the shoulder pads of Tyrone Tracy on that long run. So I think maybe if you want to run him back, it's naturally Wan'Dale Robinson, I think. But then I have to build more lineups because I need to see what you can actually get if you pay for Wan'Dale.
I'm sneaky athletic.
Yeah.
You get 10 carries, Daigle. You get 10 carries. How many yards are you gaining?
No, I'm not one of those guys who has the ego. Like I'm getting -2 yards.
Yeah, you're getting smashed.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter is absolutely just reaching out and throwing me down with one arm.
Daigle, what would have Priest Holmes got on that run?
Same thing, -2.
Rich, let's say, you're playing Dart. You're playing Dart a la carte? You pairing him with somebody? If so, yes.
I mean, you can, I think, just because the targets have been consistent for Wan'Dale. I'm a little nervous about this matchup. So when these teams did play in week 6, he obviously had the touchdown, but he played a season low 35% of his snaps in the slot that game. Granted, maybe we get Darius Slayton back and like these things changes. But what that allowed him to do was get away from Cooper DeJean and run routes against Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo. Now Quinyon Mitchell's out there. So like, it's kind of like they're kind of insulated now with Quinyon Mitchell back. which helps. You want to attack the other boundary cornerback, which is going to be Ringo this week because Adoree got hurt last week as well. So that's why Addison. I wish I would have got to Addison a little more because I've been on this with the Jets dudes all year, playing.
We're going to be on it. We're going to be on it again too.
Playing wide receiver twos against. Sauce might not play, so it might not even matter.
One and two.
But you want to attack the other boundary corner, like the wide receiver, because Quinion Mitchell's been following a lot of the lead wide receiver ones on the boundaries, like not into the slot because they have DeJean there. But that's where you want to attack them.
All right. Anything else here, boys, or shall we move on to game 3?
No, I mean Scadaboo is interesting in these road games. They have involved him as a pass catcher more, like these when they've been road underdogs. Like that's when you've seen him like get incorporated into the passing game a little bit more, which I think does give him some more appeal in this game, even with Jalen Carter playing, because he still has that built-in touchdown equity. But it is nice to see him involved as a pass catcher when they go on the road.
And when we're talking about the meta of building lineups for this week, I do think I always say something on Wednesday and then everything opens up and suddenly I find myself making some weird plays I didn't discuss. I don't think I'm going to play Lord Jordan Humphrey, but the meta is to find probably cheap wide receivers because again, Bijan and JT in elite spots cost so much. So probably naturally 1 or 2 cheap wide receivers are going to pop in lineups this week.
It's not always Wednesday to Sunday. It might also be the aforementioned edibles too. Maybe manipulate the lineups a little bit to some degree.
I'm also still making one Saquon lineup because I'm in Martingale syndrome.
I mean, if you first thing you do when you open the slate, if you X them out every single week, you're already ahead of the field. Like that's not one time.
But I'm too committed now.
Dude, but even last week though, everyone got there. I was pissed whenever I looked at the cards and he was 15 to 20% rostered everywhere. I was like, gosh, man, there were a lot of lineups that just played him with JT, but obviously you had him because every other running back scored 2-3 touchdowns in the winning lineup. Like Barkley didn't come close.
Yeah, they started to make some changes though. Like they're trying different things, which I do respect. And to be fair to Barkley, and listen, I'm no scout. I think from an eyeball test though, he doesn't look physically impaired. I mean, he had 2 long runs called back last week too. I think it's systemic failure more so than just he's been bad at football. But we also had 2 guys that were doing similar things up until last week, Jahmyr Gibbs and Christian McCaffrey. And those guys reminded us that they can still run the football too. There is going to be one of these weeks where he does hit. And at home against this Giants run defense, it's still man.
What if you're broke though and it's week 13 and you only had money for 12 weeks and then that's I agree. It should theoretically happen one of these weeks.
Because it's one of those things you're trying to find holes and what's going wrong with some of these guys. Jahmyr Gibbs was up until Monday night. Jahmyr Gibbs was extremely inefficient as a runner. I'm writing about it for weeks. They weren't using the pass game, and but you keep telling yourself there's nothing wrong with him when you watch him, and it's just eventually it's going to happen. Same thing. McCaffrey though, they made wholesale changes in their running approach, but they did try some things. The Eagles, they played a lot more, like I said, more under center, more power runs. So it's maybe we're going to start to get some of these things, but I do the interior of the offensive line is. And like I said, the whole system, they've just been trying to find their way. And I do think that they're landing on being a passing team. And I think that is the correct move though.
George Kittle came back to block for CMC as well. All right. 3rd game. Let's talk about a game number. Yeah. Well, I mean, how many points do I get for a pancake? How many fantasy points? Because I got 0 when I played him, right? You got 0 catches, I'm pretty sure.
You got the opportunity to trade for him at even cheaper prices now.
Well, how does that help me last week? But yeah, you're right. You're in the season-long streets. You're probably getting some interesting trade stuff.
They also made a lot of changes. It just wasn't George Kittle coming back. They had been doing this for 2 weeks, so Kittle definitely was a plus. But so through 6 weeks, 51% of Christian McCaffrey's runs were outside zone runs. So it was the 3rd highest rate in the league. Then on Sunday, 29.2%, his lowest rate. Through 5 games, because there was a little bit of changes in the Bucks is where it started to change. They started to change things. He had 1 power run all season, 1 through 5 weeks. And then it was 29.5%, 29.5% these past 2 weeks. He had 7 power runs for 58 yards on Sunday night. He had 7.1 yards per carry on runs guard to guard. Because, that outside zone, Kyle Shanahan's system, they were sticking with that. And he adjusted. He had 105 rushing yards tackle to tackle. That was his most in a game since 2023. It was a lot more power downhill running. They also did lose their center now, Jake Brendel, in that game. So it's another, like, they just keep losing dudes every week, the 49ers. Like, McCaffrey's just powering up through the other 49ers getting injured. But yeah, they made other changes. It just wasn't Kittle coming back. He obviously made a huge impact, but they actually changed their actual run game philosophy. It wasn't like they put Kittle in the lineup and ran the same shit and it worked. They actually changed everything they were doing as well.
Since you're on that, we'll talk about game 3 in a second, but I'm just curious. Will it work for Houston? Houston, one of the best defensive lines in football, and how do you handle that? Even though they improved, and we talked about this before, and it's 41.5 total. Houston's offense is pretty inept. It'll be even worse if they don't have Nico. It looks like he's not going to play. We'll see with the concussion. And they also have a great defense. So, like, their games are just kind of, they're not fantasy friendly. So I don't know what to do. And especially when we have Taylor.
This game definitely looks like an under game.
And Robinson. It's like, how do we play CMC over Taylor and Robinson outside of making an argument for
It's also not friendly whenever the NFL allows Braxton Berrios to get a target at 1 a.m. Eastern. I can tell you, I've never been more upset in my entire life than staying up watching that game.
That was, I turned it off. I went on to something else. I think I fired up Netflix or something like that. All right, game number 3.
But you know how Christian McCaffrey gets there? He gets 30 touches again.
Yeah,
that's every week. That's true. That's definitely true. That's a good counterpoint.
The healthiest player.
But I'm excited to see that. Like, whenever you have like these things happen where it changes, it's like, all right, so that worked at home against the Falcons. Now on the road against this Houston defense, when you lose your starting center, are you going to be able to do that again? Right.
Also, familiarity, obviously, there from Kyle Shanahan and D'Amico.
Game 3, it's the Cowboys. You knew it. The people in chat knew it for sure. Oh, if you guys are in chat, hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Make you come back. If you're not watching live, join us. Join us live on the YouTube. Of course, we appreciate wherever you watch us. The third game, it is the Cowboys. The Cowboys at Denver. Denver scoring 30 points in the fourth quarter last game. Dallas, probably the best 1-2 combination as far as receivers in the business. Lamb coming back. They looked phenomenal. Washington cannot keep up. Of course, they lost Daniels, and it was just a blowout. You know, the big total last week. Still waiting for Luke McCaffrey to catch a football. He didn't catch one, right? I don't think he did. Is that not happening?
Is it shocking the guy that had 8 touches all year was magically not just going to catch?
Well, I mean, Robbie Chosen. That's the guy we got to work in. Okay. We're over last week. Daigle, Dallas and Denver, revenge game for Javonte. I'm the first one to say it, right? Has anybody else said it this week that it's a revenge game for Javonte Williams? My first?
Document.
All right, there it is. Copyright. Daigle, Dallas and Denver. What do you got?
Speaking of teams making changes to their coverages, that's kind of what happened for the Cowboys last week, as all the complaints about them doing the same thing over and over again under Eberflus and basically only playing zone finally broke them. It could have also been because that's how you should handle Jaden Daniels anyways, is not do that. But either way, the Cowboys actually led all defenses in week 7 with half of their snaps for man coverage. And since that worked so well, I do wonder if that's how they're going to deploy it here against Bo Nix, because Bo Nix has been worse against man coverage this year. Even last week, just 1 touchdown from cover 1, cover 3 schemes, which he faced on 31 of his 50 pass attempts last week. So we'll see what happens here. But it's just another week, honestly, where everyone's trying to get involved. Like, it's more fun to talk about it from the Cowboys side, but everyone's just trying to get involved in this kind of game scripts, because right now, the way the Cowboys are playing, like, they know who they are. Not only that, but what makes them so fun is that they're an offense that also is keeping their foot on the gas. Maybe that's to run up the score. Maybe that's because they understand that the defense can allow a flood of points in a moment's notice. But even in garbage time, it's not garbage time to Dallas. They're still throwing the ball. And so that's why we're just trying to get involved across the board here. I could see myself, even because I love Dak and that side so much, I could see myself even playing J.K. Dobbins, because it's kind of like what we talked about last week. We haven't seen the floodgates open naturally. Well, I guess we saw it a couple of weeks against Rico Dowdle. I'm convinced the same could have happened for Corey Krosky-Merritt had the Commanders hung around. But Dallas is still like giving up the 3rd highest success rate in the league. If teams wanted to just run on every down, they could and should, because Dallas can't stop it. So when we talk about like using the flex for a cheaper running back, just getting the right environment, I could also naturally see myself playing Dobbins on the other side of Dak doubles or triples, just because RJ Harvey has just kind of really lost the momentum here since that Monday night Bengals game. The last 2 weeks in particular, just 6 and 5 touches.
Rich, what do you got as far as Dallas and Denver? Start wherever you want to start.
I'm excited for this game in general, right? I mean, this is the first defensive test Dallas is going to have since the Green Bay game. And we've seen that even putting respect on Denver's defense, we've seen them play high and tight games even going back to last year. But I mean, they had a 57 combined point game against the Colts, 43-point game against the Chargers, 65 points on Sunday. They played a tight game with the Eagles. And in those weeks, I mean, we saw Herbert and Daniel Jones both over 300 yards. Jalen Hurts threw for 280 against them. Jackson Dart threw for 283 against them last week. So the way this Cowboys offense has been playing and the talent they have, like, this is a game that should have some firepower. Last year, we saw them play a shootout with Joe Burrow. We saw them play a shootout with Jameis Winston. Like, the Broncos, as good as their defense is, can get kind of pushed into these like high, exciting game environments. We've seen it. So we could have another one of these this week, which is what makes this game exciting overall. And then there's just so many plays that you can make in this game. I like to go back to like that Bengals game last year and think that there's a lot of overlap here, not just because we kind of are calling this Cowboys team like kind of the 2025 version of the Bengals, but they also deploy their receivers in a similar way though. Like Jamar Chase is that player that moves around. He's more of like the queen piece on the chessboard. He's not just stuck in one wide receiver position. And when they played the Bengals last year, they were able to move Jamar Chase around and get him away from Patrick Surtain. CeeDee Lamb has played fewer slot snaps this year because Kevontae Turpin is like can't play outside, but he still is moonlighting in the slot around a third of his snaps, so they can move him away from Patrick Surtain. And if you get kind of George Pickens and like that T Higgins role, like T Higgins put the work to Riley Moss in that game like last year. So it's like, it's kind of fun. Like there's volatility here too, because the Denver defense is so good, but there's paths here for success. And then Denver is a team that gets a lot of quick pressure. So we thought this last week with going back to Jake Ferguson, who apparently now that he figured out he could score touchdowns, won't stop scoring touchdowns. But because Denver can get so much quick pressure, I do think Jake Ferguson is going to get peppered again in this game and have like a high reception game. Now, you need the touchdowns with Jake Ferguson. Like he's averaging 3.9 air yards per target, only 6.5 yards per catch, but he's catching a lot of balls. So he's like more of a DraftKings play, but we've seen like Tyler Warren have a solid game against the Broncos. So like, yeah, I mean, there are paths here. There's a lot of volatility in this game, but I think the upside for this game is still something you can't ignore.
I think it's the same way we talked about Vikings-Eagles last week, where yes, you can absolutely see how it goes wrong. I happened to play it the way it went wrong, which is always fun, but I could also see how this game absolutely explodes and every piece gets there. Like even for example, if the Cowboys, they play the way they played defense last week, and they're like, okay, that's how we have success. Let's do a lot of that moving forward. Then you're even looking at a guy like Marvin Mims, who probably was elevated because of game script last week. Like Bo Nix reached 50 pass attempts. Again, they were down by 30 points in the fourth quarter. They had to have everyone out there. But also Marvin Mims is the definition of volatility. Like he's the guy who can get there at one catch when you're spinning down at wide receiver. And if the Cowboys continue playing that way, where, all right, we're just going to stick you man to man, Marvin Mims is actually one of only 6 receivers in the entire league, averaging 4 yards per route run against man coverage, because that's how he wins. He's been targeted on 30% of his routes against man coverage. So I could see myself playing this a lot of different ways. I mentioned J.K. Dobbins as well. There's just a lot of ways to go here.
And I would be surprised if the Cowboys do. I mean, dude, the Commanders are rolling out Chris Moore and Jalen Lane as their starting wide receivers. Like, there is no reason to sit back and play coverage against those dudes.
I agree, but also like how lazy Uberflus has been to this point. He knows obviously a lot more about football than I do. But like, I could also see like if Nick Caley, I can't say Nick Caley, if he found one thing right, he'd use it. He probably wouldn't actually. He'd find a way to not use it.
Yeah.
But like, I could see them just saying that works. That's good enough for me. Let's do it again.
I was doing a quick count here on Ferguson. Looks like he's caught 51 of 58 passes thrown his way. Obviously they're 2-3 yards away, so it's not as hard to catch those.
He's tied in Khalil Shakir. Yeah.
4 straight weeks of at least one touchdown. 2 of those weeks with multiple touchdowns.
Yeah.
you can't assume that's going to continue. But yeah, he's been, and I assume he's still tight end one by like a fair bit. He's tight end one so far this season in the season long streets. He's got to be, right?
I can't remember if McBride passed him or not last week.
I can't remember either. Darren Waller snuck up last week, but that was in points per game, and also we knew that was short lived. And now, like, we got two good games from Darren Waller. We got the window, and now we're done with that window.
It's officially closed, yeah. But it was more than I thought we were going to get out of him. Shout out to him for a few good games there for Miami. One of the bright spots for the Miami Dolphins season was Darren Waller. Like when they show the montage, like the highlights next year.
Yeah, Ferguson's ahead. It's Ferguson. There's 3 guys with over 100 PPR points. It's Ferguson, McBride, and Warren. And then there's a pretty big gap to Goddard.
If you're old enough, if you've been playing DFS long enough, I don't long for the days of when FanDuel had kickers. But Brandon Aubrey is going to kick a 70-yarder in this game, right? That's going to happen. We're getting a 70-yarder.
We've already had more 60-yard field goals than in any NFL season in history, like through 7 games.
They're rubbing the balls differently, or
it's like Coors Field. It's like remember the hot ball, the juice ball era. There was one year where our softball season we played at 47 Coors, and like dudes that were like $150 were just hitting like 8 home runs, man. Just hitting bombs. Dude. That's like what this feels like. Where like you're just hitting rocks. Like he's hitting rocks.
Aubrey last week did become, I think it was the first kicker in NFL history to have 5 60+ yard field goals in a season. And also, I listened to an interview with him. I'm single, ladies. Earlier this week, and his punter in the USFL, since that's where he played in the spring league, lived in Denver. So he's been to Denver to visit him and kick field goals out there, like to practice in the altitude before.
If there's an opportunity for it, like we might see the biggest, if they're on the 50-yard line, and it's like 4th and 10, that's a field goal.
Oh yeah, right? he gives him and the holder Banger is the name. They give Schottenheimer the number pregame. They're like, we're good from here. Like anytime here, we're good. I bet it is like 74, honestly, in this game.
Yeah, I want to see it. I kind of want to see a field goal. I think it'd be kind of exciting.
It also makes Dallas, by the way, like the most fun 2-minute offense in the league because they know they have one dart to George Pickens, who leads the league in penalty yards, because when he's one-on-one, just throw it up because he can make a circus catch or draw a flag. And then if you get within 60 yards, you get a field goal. So like they're never done. 5 seconds left in the half. They're never done because they know they can get in range.
It's like arena football. There's no punting in arena football. It's so like the Cowboys are playing arena football, essentially.
As long as Dak's healthy, like this thing's got life. But if Dak gets injured again, oh boy.
People like the clown on Dallas. They like the clown on Jerry Jones, but they're at least fun. They're at least a fun team. I enjoy watching them. They produce fun football games. All right. Anything else as far as Dallas, Denver that we need to stress?
Well, Broncos side we didn't talk a lot about. We did touch on Mims, but I mean, Bo Nix will probably pop in a lot of stuff this week, I'm guessing. Cowboys, even with Washington out all their wide receivers and John Daniels getting hurt, still allowed 22 fantasy points to the to Team Washington QB. They are allowing 20 passing points per game, also 5.7 rushing points per game to quarterbacks. So you kind of have like that dual edge for Bo Nix. And, you've got a lot of ways to play Bo Nix because they play a lot of guys. Obviously Sutton's the guy that's on the field. He's got the touchdown equity, but they rotate in Troy Franklin. They rotate in Marvin Mims. Pat Bryant's getting a sprinkler. You're not going to play Pat Bryant at DFS. Like he doesn't play enough, but they're rotating tight ends with Evan Ingram and Adam Troutman in the run game. So they even rotate running backs because J.K. Dobbins has 7 catches all year. So it's like there's a lot more. It's a lot more wide open on Denver. I mean, just playing Bo Nix by himself is interesting. I don't know if you necessarily even need to stack him.
Go ahead, Daigle.
I also want to. I think it's going to be Bo Nix or Jalen Hurts as the cash game quarterback, and so I'll be curious to see the ownership that trickles into tournaments from that as well.
So the stuff I ran, as always, Wednesday night, adding some variants. The 3 most popular quarterbacks that I have on DK are Daniel Jones, Hurts, and Nix.
Yeah.
And then Lamar. And let me see if Derek Carty's the Blitz says anything different. I ran him for both. Jones, Hurts, and Nix. And then Lamar. That's what I'm saying for both. Unless am I repeating the same thing? That would seem oddly similar, but I think that's what I'm seeing right now. You see anything different? Yeah. Are you saying the same thing, Rich? Something similar to that? Those 4? Or am I something I'm
No,
missing?
yeah, and honestly, I don't even have another quarterback in my player pool that since Daigle swapped to this game, Hurts would have been the other guy because I think it's Bo Nix and Bo Nix, Dak, and then Lamar Jackson, who we talked about earlier, that are the intriguing pay up guys. And then like we don't have a lot of real cheap dudes unless Daigle is going to pitch Baker or Spencer Rattler if that was his agenda with the Bucs Saints swap. Josh Allen's also on this slate, though. Like, don't forget about Josh Allen.
That's also why I pivoted from that game because I realized we were just talking about the wide receivers and tight ends. And I was like, I don't want to make a case for Baker or Spencer Rattler. People played Spencer Rattler against the Bears last week, and it did not go well.
I'm really excited to see that Panthers game and the Bills coming out of the way because like the Panthers defense has been hot, but I'm not ready to believe it yet.
Yeah, and Josh Allen probably going to get buried a little bit as far as ownership. You can always play some Josh Allen in tournaments. All right, that is our first our 3 main games. We're going to run it back and talk about the quarterbacks, the running backs, receivers, everything we've not yet discussed in the remaining 7 games. Before we do that, I do want to mention if you want to try our NFL DFS tools without a full season commitment, for a limited time, you get a half off a 3-day NFL pass. Access to everything you need to crush the slate. You'll get the optimizer tool, lineup HQ, packed with player projections, ownership projections, all the good stuff, all the bells, all the whistles. You'll also get SimLabs NFL, the easiest way to build smart competitive lineups in just a few clicks. All that less than $10, $9.99. Do not miss your chance to get a serious edge this week. And also, if you're looking to get more of a commitment as far as 3 days NFL DFS action for the entire season, get more bang for your buck with Combo Pro. For a limited time, you can get your first month of Combo Pro for less than $80, $79.99, which is just $5 more than NFL DFS monthly all by itself. Combo Pro gets you football, baseball, basketball, hockey. All the sports are in full swing right now. Man, my brain is a little bit fried because of today's 12-game basketball slate. Of course, we're doing basketball shows here weekly. Join me and the crew. But, yeah, every single sport. I guess the 4 majors, we still call them the 4 majors. I'm not sure if like NASCAR or golf have creeped up, but baseball, finishing up here at the World Series, and then NFL, NHL, and basketball in full swing. But let's do it. Let's circle back. Let's talk about our favorite plays, position by position. Quarterback, Daigle, who is left at quarterback?
I only got one more, and we should probably just cut the recording right now because
Oh no, is it bad? How bad is it?
Oh, it's really bad. It's terrible. But when you talk about trying to save salary, and Bo Nix is 1,000 more than naked Justin Fields against the Bengals. This obviously assumes that Tyrod Taylor's knee injury carries over into the week, but I don't need to play Mason Taylor. I don't need to play Josh Reynolds. I'm just trying to soak up this rushing floor that Justin Fields has at least shown us early on before he was benched. Even with Trey Hendrickson available, the Bengals are 28th in pressure rate, so we expect Justin Fields to at least be operating from a clean pocket. He was still like, as I'm trying to sell him to you, I know I'm not doing a good job, but he was still.
Well, they also faced the team that was last in pressure rate last week, and they took 6 sacks.
That's very true. Yeah, at least that was not a mobile quarterback though, and Aaron Rodgers still had 20 fantasy points in that spot. So again,
no, I'm talking about the Jets. They played.
Okay.
They played the Panthers, who were dead last. I actually posted this stat where the teams versus the Jets, their pressure rate versus the Jets, and their pressure rates versus everyone else.
Oh no, I haven't seen that one. Okay.
Yeah, the Panthers had 6 sacks that game.
Are the Panthers kind of good? They might be kind of good defensively, at least.
Well, I think that's what Rich is. I think Rich is about to tell you the math that's going on in their defense right now, but. Yeah, just naked Justin Fields at the cheapest price possible.
I don't have a problem with the shout though, because
that's the only one.
Would you play Tyrod? Because I know Tyrod's questionable, or he's dinged, and it seemed like the owner was basically saying play Tyrod if he's I don't know, Woody Johnson. If he saw quotes.
What's funny is that I wrote this in, because it's a week right now where super flex league managers are really struggling. Like they have no idea where to turn because all the backups are here. 6 teams are on bye. Actually, Tyrod Taylor's been worse than Justin Fields this year. He's dead last in yards per attempt from a clean pocket. And that includes Aaron Rodgers. That includes every single quarterback we've seen this year. So the best thing is, at least I think, they can't bench Justin Fields if Tyrod's out. I don't think they have another quarterback they could play. So
that's what I was looking for.
I'm take on the rushing floor. You take on the rushing floor. You can play Jamar and T. Higgins without Joe Flacco, and you cross your fingers.
I'm pulling up the Jets depth charts. They don't have a third quarterback in the depth chart. They got to have somebody, right? Is there nobody? Is Chad Pennington available?
It's Nick Foles.
Okay, that's interesting. Rich, can you
I told you to stop the recording.
Rich, see Fields and Rays. Can you raise?
No. I mean, I get it at large field. Justin Fields, what you're gonna get. You're either gonna close the laptop or it's gonna work out. I don't have a problem with the shout.
You might close the laptop through 3 quarters, anyways.
Well, yeah, you might not open it to the 4th quarter.
Yeah, that's it.
Who's left? I'm trying to see what other quarterbacks you've not yet
discussed.
No,
I think we covered my guys.
Flacco interesting?
I think he's interesting, but I actually think that it's going to be probably more the first rare Bengals run script, right?
You won't get pushed.
Well, maybe, but I'm fine with Flacco. Like in managed leagues and stuff, I don't know if the ceiling is going to be there this week for them, but he's thrown 45 and 47 passes. Do we think he has to throw that many against the Jets?
Probably not. Probably not.
But yeah, I mean, that game's interesting if Sauce Gardner doesn't play, like that, just because the backup, the depths at cornerback for the Jets have been so just brutal this year. Brandon Stevens has just really struggled this year. They're giving Michael Carter has been bad when he's played. It's wide open for those guys to keep cooking. They played Jarvis Brownlee last week. It's rough.
The Jets have a bye after this week too, so maybe they rest some of their guys that are questionable. I don't know. If you go on ESPN, I don't know why that's where I always go for the schedule. If you go on ESPN, it'll tell you like a link for tickets, like tickets as low as. What do you think the cheapest tickets you can get for Jets Bengals? What would you pay, Rich? If they were playing in your backyard, would you open the blinds? Would you watch the game?
Yeah, I'd at least open the blinds.
You'd peek out.
Live football is not great though. Hot take.
$73. I agree with you. And yet you don't like red zone. I don't understand.
I think it's the worst of the sports live, but I say that as someone who doesn't have like a home team that I go root for or anything. So I could get it. Like if you have that experience, it adds to it. But I think from transition to live to TV, the TV NFL experience is better, except for the pregame. Football is great. Tailgating is amazing. But
yes. The TV was built with a football field in mind. Like that's how they built the TV. So yeah. All right. And I'm with you also. I don't have a team either, so maybe that has something to do with it. Daigle, you have a team? You have a team you care about football-wise?
Not really.
No?
The Levitan jokingly calls me a Cowboys fan since I grew up in Texas, obviously. But and I did go to old Irving Stadium, but new Cowboy Stadium 1, it's not for Cowboys fans. It's for country concerts. Like they didn't the window, the sunlight thing is not a joke for afternoon kickoffs. They genuinely just don't care about the team. Even Brian Schottenheimer this past week was asked about it, and he said, "Come on, like we know how to handle it." They still chose to receive the ball in the second half. Like they don't know how to handle it. They don't care about the sunlight at all. So, nah, I'm not really. I get a little bit childlike joy. Like that's why I'm so happy for Dak Prescott because he goes through so much shit with the fans and the media. And like the dude is just walking on another universe right now. He's been so good.
Seems like a good guy too. All right.
He's Rich, also like, he's what you want in a quarterback. He's the opposite of Baker Mayfield, where like Baker Mayfield tell you you're wrong. Dak Prescott was trained since Mississippi to say all the right things. You get literally nothing from a Dak Prescott interview because he says the same copy paste stuff over and over again, like Brock Purdy. And that's what you need your quarterback to be.
But that's not fun on the sidelines. I want the guy that spouts off and said something goofy. I want the guy with the moxie.
You don't want that from Dak Prescott because when he is himself, everyone knows Train is his favorite band and he loves Dude Perfect. So actually, don't let Dak Prescott talk.
Train's his favorite band. Yeah, nobody's favorite band is Train.
I'm not kidding. Anytime in the past he's been asked about music, he always talks about Train. Again, don't let Dak Prescott
Monahan?
talk. Don't let him talk, dude. Because he's a nerd otherwise.
Wow. I'm not going to be able to concentrate in the rest of the pod now that I know Train is Dak Prescott's favorite band. Okay. Running backs, Rich, what do you got?
I mean, I'm not going to talk about the top guys. Come on. We know it's like Helen Keller can see these spots for Jonathan Taylor and Bijan Robinson, know they're good. But some weird ones. I like that same game. Daigle to Justin Fields. I actually like Breece Hall a lot in this game.
I have Breece Hall on my list too.
And I wasn't into Breece Hall. Like when he was spitting out in optimals, I'm like, I'm not doing this against Carolina. Had been like smoking the run, and I'm like, nah, they're not going to run on them. But the Bengals have allowed RB1 scoring weeks in 4 straight games to Jordan Mason, RJ Harvey, Josh Jacobs, the one good back, and Jalen Warren. Those other guys are good, but it's like not, you know what I mean? They're not giving up points like Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor. Also, what I like about this matchup is the Breece Hall is 4th in the NFL in rate of inside zone runs. Inside zone runs, the Bengals are 27th in yards per carry. They're 31st in success rate. They're 27th in yards per carry out to running backs. They're giving up 17.4 rushing points per game. And we know the Jets, hell or high water, are just going to keep running the football. Like, this is what they do. They have the 2nd highest run rate in neutral game scripts. Even when trailing, they're only 15th in drop back rate. So maybe they're showcasing him for a trade. Maybe.
Trade
narrative.
Those never happen. You know that.
No.
Nobody trades. Nobody trades running backs.
Well, the NFL's been better the last couple of years.
What running backs have been traded for in the last couple of years? Am I missing?
I don't know. This would be the year, though, right?
Well, not end season. Tank Bisbee got dealt for whatever that's worth.
Well, that doesn't. Yeah. But I mean, if you're the Jets, like they should trade. They should trade him.
Trade everybody. Why would you hold on to anybody? Whatever you can get. You said you're not going to mention the obvious ones. Maybe John will answer.
I mean,
but like Bijan, do you have a take like Bijan over Taylor if you had to lean one of the two, or they're both great, and we'll see who falls in the end zone more than the other guy.
You could play Tyler Algier as well. That's my take.
That's the sneaky one.
I know we tried this a couple weeks ago and game script didn't go right, but in Atlanta's 3 wins this year, Algier has 10, 16, and 16 carries. He still leads Bijan Robinson with 8 carries to Bijan's 4 inside the 10-yard line. Like Algier has 3 touchdowns in his range of outcomes in this game.
Yeah, he's out touched Bijan in the inside the 10.
Interesting.
You asked about Bijan Robinson. I gave you Tyler Algier.
Yeah, I gave you Tyler Algier stuff. Well, I mean, come on, man, dude. Bijan's so like stupidly good at football. It's like his cut. There's just not a dude in the league right now that like makes cuts like Bijan Robinson.
No,
it's just absolutely.
Running backs don't matter, but Bijan matters.
And I mean, Miami's giving up top 10 scoring weeks to like dudes. Like Kamani Vidal had 140 yards against them. So like. I mean, it's a great spot. The Falcons have also been a lot better at home too. Like they're at home. It's fast track.
I thought they played well against the Niners. It's kind of the exact game script you could have previewed beforehand, where they're going to blitz Mac Jones face off. He's going to struggle. The Niners responded by running the ball intelligently, but even on a short week, the Falcons showed they're contenders. They played really well.
Yeah, I mean the Falcons, I think, big picture have a quarterback problem, but
for sure, defense, running game, very, very, very good. And you can play both. You can play Algier and Bijan.
But man,
Penix too. Is he fine?
He's
Do we
playing.
know?
He's going to play.
Okay. Miami? Okay, I'm fine. Miami? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good to go. Let's do it.
Like I say, you heal up real quick when you get the Dolphins on the schedule.
It's an ointment for sure.
But he can spin it, though. Like, that dude's got a howitzer. But
we'll talk about receivers in a second. Mooney might be an interesting play. Daigle, who else is
Rashad White too.
Yeah, they're just not raising his price enough. Good environment there in the dome at
he's had 3 terrible like matchups in Seahawks, 49ers, Lions, like 3 top 10 run defenses. Even the 49ers held Bijan Robinson to 40 rushing yards last week. But they're going to get a game where they should have positive game script against the Saints, who have struggled back-to-back weeks. They face just a ton of backfield runs, and we're going to see Agbuka be popular on the slate. Maybe someone gets to a cheapie and uses one of the other guys, like a Tez Johnson or something too. So I do like Rashad White a good bit too.
Daigle, who else is on your list for running backs? Anybody else you want to mention? That's it. That's your list.
That's it. I had Breece Hall as well. And the couple of guys we mentioned when talking about the games, that's it though. I think more it's really about how to fit in the expensive running backs this week, as opposed to trying to like go too far off the board.
Yeah, we talked about Henry, Swift. We talked about the guys in the Cowboys game. We talked about the ghost of Saquon. Those guys are on there. You've got Taylor and Bijan.
Is Kamara a thing maybe, or not really ever? No. Is that over? It's over.
They also lost Eric McCoy for the remainder of the season.
That was the biggest injury.
Last year when McCoy was off the field, Kamara ran for 3.1 yards per carry and only had an explosive run on 5% of his runs. Also, the Bucs have been awesome against the run. Jahmyr Gibbs had the awesome 90-yard, the long scamper on them, but they've been awesome against the run all year. Vita Vea still a demon.
I think, watching him on Monday night too was just like so much fun. The no gloves thing is amazing. I think also the Kendry Miller injury, since if you would expect Kamar to get more early down carries in an inefficient spot, I think it actually helps Jawan Johnson a lot for this upcoming game.
It's interesting you say that. We'll get the tight end soon, but
don't tell me the optimizer has Jawan freaking Johnson. He's at like 12% of the targets the last 3 games. Now everyone's going to play him? All because of projection?
I'm not sure everybody's going to play him. I can just tell you that he's in 49% of the 100 lineups I made on DK.
Okay.
I mean, look, we'll see. We'll see how things shake out.
Yeah, the projections are too good.
Yeah, I imagine it was going to be him and Schultz as like the 2 optimal guys.
Schultz is going to be cash game.
Yeah, Schultz is going to be cash game.
How are we already here?
Yeah. First 4 are Johnson, Warren, Otten, Schultz, Andrews. That's what we have right now. Those are the guys in double digits that I'm seeing right now on a Wednesday. Receivers, who wants to give me their batch of receivers first?
I got a couple. Let's go with Rich already alluded to the obvious Ibuka play. He was targeted on 33% of his routes once Mike Evans left the field on Monday Night Football. Let's wait out and see. But on this short week, I don't think either Nico Collins with a concussion or Christian Kirk will play. And if that's the case, it's a great spot for Jalen Noel, who, again, leave it to the Texans to do the right thing is not the right thing on our part. But he still mirrored Braxton Berrios in routes run. He finished first in yards per route run from the slot. Jalen Noel did. And without Fred Warner the past 2 games, 49ers have allowed 20 points per game from the slot, really struggling over the middle of the field. In that second half, Noel also had 3 20-plus yard catches. Like, he just showed exactly he's the player they drafted on day 2. They just have refused to use to this point. So when they have no choice but to use him, since remember, Justin Watson was playing in the slot whenever Christian Kirk was out last, then maybe Noel comes through as that cheapy wide receiver we need. I imagine the projections will get there too once Kirk and Nico becomes official. And then, it's the same thing we talked about earlier with T. Higgins. Jamar Chase could probably get there if Sauce Gardner actually does miss this game. But regardless, playing a couple weeks ago, the Broncos, who have no wide receiver 2, like no confident one since they rotate everyone, really made us forget that Flanoy had 100 yards against this Jets defense, that Xavier Legette popped up last week with 9 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown. So naturally, if Sauce Gardner plays this week, it would be T. Higgins against the Jets.
Rich, who is left for you?
I mean, we covered a lot of the guys who are going to be in the pool because obviously, Denver, Dallas can have a lot of guys. We talked about the Eagles guys. We talked about Zay Flowers, who's ludicrously cheap as well. We didn't talk about the running backs. I don't think I'm going to get there, but like, is this the spot you like would objectively just play Chase Brown?
Sure.
I thought you were going to get there because you mentioned him earlier, or you mentioned the running game earlier.
Well, just because, they're actually large home favorites. Team total, like this would be a spot to maybe run more than they have the past 2 weeks. But he's conceded some stuff to Samaje Perine. But you would say like, just man, on a week like this, do you just blind play him? But yeah.
What do you play more? A little bit more if like they're not playing catch up.
Right.
Perine is more of like the third down guy typically, right? But I'm not sure. But theoretically, they should be ahead versus the Jets. I did run some optimal stuff, and I wanted to see what receivers were hitting. Most popular, and this is DK, Zay Flowers.
Yep.
Chase is hitting.
And then a lot
Jerry Jeudy is hitting.
Dean.
Jawan Jennings, Olave, always. He's always hitting. Ibuka, the most popular player.
Well, now they finally, like, it's a happy learned how to putt situation. Like, they finally were like, oh, what if we actually had Olave go downfield? What if we tried that? Because through 5 weeks, like, he was on like that Michael Pittman diet of like 6 for 55, like every week. He had 8 air yards per target through 5 weeks. And then last 2 weeks, 12.3 air yards per target, 19.9 air yards per target. 35% of his targets last 2 weeks have been on deep balls. It was 7.4% prior. I mean, he's living his best life with Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, even if this ends up failing big picture, like this dude knows how to get his wide receiver ones the football. I mean, Olave's moved into the slot at matching career high rate and slot rate. He's got career high like pre-snap motion rate. He has his highest red zone target share he's ever had in his career. So it's like, man, there's a lot going on here with Olave that are just big pros. Also, for this particular matchup, I mean, he has a 37% target share and 49% of the air yards when Spencer Rattler's been blitzed this year, and almost 4 yards per out run. So, we know Todd Bowles is always going to dial up some heat. So it's hard to get away from him. He's dealing with a little bit of an ankle injury. Underhill said he was going to play. So, but he's probably going to be really popular though too. But yes, it makes sense.
Did want to mention, by the way, Collins is still in the optimals I've been running, so he's probably going to not play, right? That seems like the likely scenario that Collins doesn't play this week, so maybe that'll open up like the Daigle was talking about, some of the Houston stuff. Anybody else?
Also like Noel too, out of those guys.
He's your favorite amongst that whatever nonsense that might be rolling out of Hutchinson, Higgins, Braxton Berrios. I know Daigle's not going to want some Braxton Berrios.
Well, Hutchinson's going to lead them in routes run. They can't get away from him. I don't know why, but I don't know if he's seen like a cup version of D'Amico Ryans, but like he has something over the entire organization. But Jalen Noel, very clearly, the best player. Even profiled, like they took Jaden Higgins first. I think that could have been shocking as well. He is like 6'4", over 200 pounds, 98% all athlete. When I was doing prospect stuff, like he does profile as an X receiver that naturally replaces Nico Collins. But dude, Jalen Noel did profile as like the better player. And man, just the limited time on Monday night, he scorched it.
Rich, tight ends, what do you got?
We kind of danced around most of the guys that we want to play. If Tyrod wanted to play, I would have liked Mason Taylor more, but I don't think that's going to happen. Just because, again, the Bengals, I mean, do they let all the Steelers guys score? Every Steelers tight end got to score a touchdown against them. It's just every week with the Bengals against tight ends, like someone gets there against them. 28% of the fantasy points they've allowed have been to just the tight ends, which is the highest rate in the league. But if Justin Fields is playing, I can't do it. So can't get there. We talked about Schultz a little bit. I'm waiting to see if Dalton Kincaid's up this week coming out of the bye. He missed 2 weeks ago with the oblique injury, because if the Panthers are like, if they have a little bit more fight in them, and we're getting an Andy Dalton game probably at least for this week, a Dalton Kincaid, we always like targeting tight ends against all that cover 3 heavy Panther stuff. They've been bad against tight ends, so I could be interested in this Kincaid on the slate too. But I think this slate in general is going to be more of the pay down variety. We have no McBride. Jake Ferguson is like the only like real top go getter, so it's going to be like, I think, a Schultz pay down type of week for most people.
And if you're doing tight end flex again, you got to remember it's National Tight End Week.
It is.
Boy. How was it not last week? You're saying it's going to be better this week, is what you're telling me?
Well, that means Kittle's like grandfather into a touchdown then.
Yes. Four tight ends scored on Thursday night alone. But this week officially is National Tight End Week.
So run Bijan and Taylor, your 2 running backs, and get 2 tight ends and kind of make stuff work.
Isaiah Likely and Colston Loveland skinny stack? Sure. Why the hell not?
What does the optimal look like, Dean, if you force Taylor and Bijan in a lineup? What does it give you?
I'll tell you. Hold on, give me 1 second.
I just want to hear the rest of the lineup, just to know, because I haven't messed with it. It might be something basic, but I'm curious to see.
I don't think the projections are there yet on Jalen Noel, so I don't think
it's not.
It's not gonna squeeze him in naturally in yet.
I was just curious, like what the initial one spit out. If you lock them both.
Yeah, I'm running it right now. Just give me 1 second. I'm just buying time. But
Likely is super cheap. Schultz is still pretty cheap.
Yeah, Schultz is cheap.
You ready? This will be fun.
I want to hear it.
You're not gonna like. There is a receiver for the Jets. You're not gonna like that, but that could be Noel. That could be Noel. Maybe
listen. You're dramming in 2-9 on draft. I assume you ran this on DraftKings. FanDuel,
I did it on DraftKings.
Do it on FanDuel. I don't know if you can play them both.
Much tougher. Jalen Hurts, Derrick Henry. You got Derrick Henry in theory.
3 running backs.
Yeah,
so Derrick Henry, Bijan, and Taylor. Schultz is your tight end. Okay. Zay Flowers, these are good players.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy and Josh Reynolds. Who's 3K? Wait, no, he's 3.9.
3K and will outscore Jerry Jeudy.
Well, how much is Noel? Is Noel like 3.9?
Isn't Noel like 3?
He's got to be like
Okay,
3,
so like
3 because he played on Monday night.
Yeah.
You could just plug Noel in there for Reynolds, and the defense is the Jets, but like you can whatever.
I'm plugging him in for Jerry Jeudy. Josh Reynolds will outscore Jerry Jeudy. I don't care about Jerry Judy's
Josh
start.
Reynolds is going to outscore. Oh man!
I will say about Jerry Jeudy, the last time that the Browns were, road dogs, they did let Dylan Gabriel throw it 50 times, and Jeudy had 13 targets. This is probably a spot where Judkins doesn't run either. Man, are you? I don't want to do it.
You're going to play Josh Reynolds.
No, the Patriot people look. No one's run for more than 46 yards in the Patriots. Like they spent a lot of money this year on the defensive line. Obviously, Milton Williams, but they got Robert Spillane, who hasn't been good in pass coverage, but good against the run. Man, yeah. And we talked about it, like Judkins got there on the touchdowns, but the offensive line is a problem. Last week against the Dolphins, Judkins averaged negative yards before contact per run.
That seems bad. That definitely does not seem good.
I mean, the offensive line is in shambles.
So let me ask you this. You're telling me there's a chance Dylan Gabriel will drop backs and he passes the ball 45 times. What I'm hearing is play Patriots defense. We don't talk a lot of defense, but Patriots defense could be very, very interesting if we're getting like 40 plus dropbacks from Dylan Gabriel.
I mean, it would have been if Njoku practiced, but I saw he practice today, or else we would have gone right back to Fannin because the usage was there. We just really didn't expect the Browns to just, no pun intended, dog. I guess we should have maybe because they're favored against the Dolphins, but they just didn't have to have any dropbacks. So Fannin stuff never checked out. I mean, he ran a route on 90% of the dropbacks and was targeted on 25% of his routes. It's just he ran 20 pass routes in the game. We're expecting him to run 40 plus, but Njoku practicing puts a little bit of a damper on that. But 2 weeks ago when they played the Steelers, Dylan Gabriel threw 52 times and Jerry Jeudy had 13 targets. He didn't do anything with them, but in a lineup to get to Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, if you told me I was getting double-digit targets at that price, I would just let the fantasy gods take the wheel.
The projections have been great this year. By the way, I'm down.
I hate saying it though, man.
They're just waiting. How did McDaniel survive getting absolutely shellacked? That he's just not going to get fired this year. I think it's going to be an off-season thing. If you don't fire Mike McDaniel in that spot, getting absolutely hammered against Cleveland, I just think it's they're just going to let it go the lowest. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. But
they should make him. Honestly, it should be just a punishment that you have to go through it.
He does not want to be there.
His whole demeanor in the offseason was like this too.
The same thing that happened to Brandon Staley too, where we slowly lost our hero because he just slowly died inside every single week because the media got to him. That's what's happening to Mike McDaniel too. His pressers are so depressing. They don't even involve cocaine anymore. He's not showing off his chest. He just shows up and they're just empty, dude. Everyone's dead inside there. So this
week was.
He's got to talk. He's got to talk to Dak Prescott and how to get boring press.
He's to listen to Train.
Needs to listen to Train. Yeah. When they asked him about Tua starting, he was like, "Well, Tua's gonna start, and he won't throw 10 interceptions."
Tua, did you see what Tua said today?
No. What did he say today? Something worse?
They asked him. Tua's answers lately, by the way, they need to have a 30 for 30 on Tua's press conferences. But they asked him about why he didn't get the ball to Jalen Waddle more. What was the game plan?
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
And he said, quote, "I couldn't see him over the line of scrimmage, so I couldn't get him the ball." Okay. We're at this point of the year for the Dolphins.
I don't want to make light or make it's not funny, but it seems like something's going. I mean, a few too many hits maybe for Tua.
I think there's a level of frustration with it's just not fun. No one's living their best life right now in that organization.
But he doesn't seem to be all there, I guess, in the quotes and the different things he's saying. I don't know, man. I wish him well.
I mean, it is literally on fire though. That is it's the antithesis of the "this is fine" meme. Right now,
he's gonna get traded for Deshaun Watson. Maybe that might be how bad it is. I don't know. It's $170 million guaranteed for Tua. I actually did the Google. 170, 169. It's a lot. The next 4 years.
I think it's is it a $99 million dead cap hit next year if they move on?
It's a lot. It's a. I mean, I think he's actually in the middle of the 4-year extension, so it's not necessarily. But it's really, really bad for
Jared
Miami.
Goff and Matthew Stafford taught us that dead cat money doesn't matter. Teams will happily take it on if they want to move on. So like Tua, obviously, it is not guaranteed that he's back next year.
Dead cap.
Especially if they're
yes, you're right. 99. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to pretend to know what that means, but it sounds like a lot. $99 million in dead cap in the year 2026, according to Sport Track. So that's
but Mike McDaniel is going to be awesome. Like he's going to be one of those guys who is going to live his best life doing one singular thing, being an offensive play caller, as opposed to taking on so much as a head coach. He's going to be an amazing OC wherever he goes next.
Yeah. And I just, the fun fact about him is that he's Dan Soder's best friend, like childhood best friend. And I don't know if you know Dan Soder's comedy. If nothing else, you're probably aware of his Macho Man impression, Daigle, because you're a wrestling guy. Are you aware of Dan Soder? You aware of this? Maybe you might have heard it. You're not aware, but give it a Google if you're like yourself a good Macho Man impression, if nothing else. I bet when Rob comes on, he'll probably be aware of Dan Soder. In any event, anything else before we step aside and talk about our movies? An hour and 25 minutes as far as week 8. We do got to give the people, unless you missed anything. I don't think you missed anything. We got to give the people our favorite stack on a Wednesday night. Rich, what do you got for me?
Ooh, I do like the Lamar Zay Flower stuff. We got to the Eagle stuff. I guess my favorite. Yeah, I kind of just like Zay Flowers a lot, but if we're against the Fields gonna get there, I'm gonna say, is it just Jerry Judy now? You got me, Dean.
No,
Jerry Judy stuff?
Well, that's not a stack. Are you playing Dylan Gabriel? Are you gonna pair them together?
No. Yeah, I mean it's tough. I don't have like anything that just like is glowing outside of those, especially if they're any popular. I got to do some more sleuthing because I like Lamar, but maybe just Jalen Hurts doubles. We run him back.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily need anybody in the Giants. I don't think.
No.
Daigle, what do you got?
Yeah, I like all the Ravens players. Again, because even Isaiah Likely is cheap. So I just kind of like soaking up everyone, Zay Flowers included with Lamar. Just get all those touchdowns or Dak doubles with some weird Broncos combos. I think could also get there.
What's your goofiest Denver combination? I guess you're into like all these, like Sutton, Franklin, Mims. How about Ingram? Is Ingram somebody we're considering? They kind of rotate. He's been better of late. It feels like he started the season kind of slow.
I mean, it makes sense. Even, the Cowboys had been leaking production to tight end. Zach Ertz got there last week with a touchdown. Man, I like Mims, oddly, just because, again, the meta of week 8. Spending down, I think, is a lot of fun for Mims in that stack. And then, gosh, yeah.
My hot take was Nick Solo.
That's a good take. I think I like Mims.
We didn't talk a lot about the Indianapolis passing game. We just assumed it's just going to be another one of those games where they're ahead by enough. They're not going to push, fourth quarter, call it maybe third quarter, call the dogs off here against Tennessee. They're almost doubling them up, right? A 31 team total, which I'm always afraid of, like fading the 31 team total. I know we talked about Taylor, obviously, but the receiving game we didn't touch on so much. Jones, we kind of mentioned in passing. Yeah,
and they've taken care of business. Like the Colts in these games where they're favored, like they don't mess around. Like they are mopping these teams. Like,
that's the problem. And Tennessee's not going to keep up. And when these teams played in week 3,
the Colts had a 36% drop back rate in the second half.
Yeah.
Titans are also probably going to be without Jeffrey Simmons at minimum, and maybe also L'Jarius Sneed if you didn't think it could get worse for the Titans.
Yeah. All right. Something to monitor there with the Colts. But okay, that's it. That's enough for the football. We're going to talk movies here in just a second. We're going to bring on producer TJ. Rob's going to jump on as well. Rich, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, Sharp Football Analysis wrote up all these games, all these players. So we did have someone that you wanted to see what we had thoughts on. I wrote about them, so definitely go check that out.
Daigle, where can the people find you at ETR? Where can they give you their pressing start-sit questions on a Tuesday morning?
I did get quite a few of them already, but they can go to Establish the Run. The Establish the Run Discord is where you ask the start-sit questions. But beyond that, the podcast, the YouTube channel, all free, and the rest of season 150, where we talked about today already turning the page to players to trade for the second half of the season schedule, is free, up right now.
Favorite, most interesting question you've gotten as far as start sit, as far as potential trades, anything sort of stand out for you?
This week, I'm trying to think what broke my brain.
There's always one that breaks your brain. Or is there like one player everybody's asking about? Like, what about this guy?
Right now, so this week was really about so we do Tuesday waiver chat and then Wednesday the trade or rest of season chat. But the issue was that on Tuesday this week, since teams are already 1-6, and so they may not be as heavily involved, is that now the trade chat is happening on Tuesday. Basically, they're making it about the trades. The issue with that, though, is that I don't turn around matchups until Wednesday morning or Wednesday afternoon. And so I only know waiver stuff on Tuesday and a lot of the league, but I don't have all my, blind spots filled in just yet. And so it's always hard for me to answer those questions on Tuesday. I think this week everyone was just done with Saquon Barkley. The thing about Saquon Barkley, though, is that you don't want to sell that type of upside that we saw last year in managed leagues for cheap or at a low point. So the answer is, like the answer was for Devonta Smith, for A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts all year long, is that you really just keep starting him. And that's not what everyone wants to hear. But you just keep starting them and just understand they're so good, they're going to figure it out. They did with the passing game. I think Saquon Barkley, they'll also just eventually figure it out because they're too good not to.
And you're just not going to get value for him either. For Barkley, you're going to sell
that's what I'm saying.
$70 or something like that.
And you can't sell players like that. Everyone's also really done with Travion Henderson. But, dude, in a managed league, whenever you're playing against only 9, 11 other people, if he's dropped, he's immediately becomes the best stash possible. So what you should do is, I understand you can't do this on short benches, which every league should be more flexes and short benches. That's the best way to play fantasy football. That way everyone is forced to make decisions. No IR slot. So you have to cut players that miss a long period of time because you can't afford to keep them. That's how you make fantasy fun. But beyond that, on normal benches, Henderson immediately becomes the best stash possible. So you just have to temper your expectations and understand there are multiple outs for him to get there as a player who last year averaged 7.5 yards per touch ahead of Quinshon Judkins. Henderson does have a ceiling, like Travis Hunter has an amazing ceiling that it doesn't just take an injury to unlock. Maybe they finally figure out a way to use him differently. Also, it seems to be a confidence thing right now for him. So it could all click. We're not halfway through the NFL season yet. We got a long way to go.
I did see the Patriots put out a tweet wishing Travion Henderson a happy birthday. And the comments, you can guess what the number one comment was, right? Well, why not, as a birthday gift, why not, maybe consider once or maybe possibly twice giving him the football.
Mike Vrabel also definitely did not make that tweet. Not his call.
He's not in charge of the social media.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and bring that's it for the football. That's it for the football. Go win something week 8. We appreciate listening. Now we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit of movies. I believe we have Rich jumping back in. I don't see him, but I think he disappeared for a second, but he should be popping in with us. TJ as well, TJ Zwarich from RotoGrinders, as well as Agents of Fandom. You got Rob Coakley from Spike Week, and we should be TJ. You know what's up with Rich?
He just said he needed a minute and he'll be back. So.
I'm assuming it was just bathroom.
Oh, I didn't see that. My bad. Then now I'm seeing his message. My apologies. I just saw him kind of go away, and silly me, I did not look at the messages. We're gonna go ahead and talk about. We'll wait for Rich. Let's see if we can get a take. TJ, you were listening in the booth the entire time. You have a take as far as week 8?
Geez, that's so broad. I need to
dealer's choice.
Think of some specifics of no, I like to call on some Hurts. Actually I did have a take when you guys were talking about Hurts doubles, but at the same time also talked about how Goddard absolutely smashed in this last spot in this last matchup against the Giants. So I would dare to say maybe we try some Hurts triples this week.
You never pass up an opportunity to make triples. You love your
and
triples.
I love my triples as well. Again, that's what I had. I had Broncos triples, the weirdest triple. Man, I may need to just go back to that process and not touch it Sunday morning.
It's the right thought process. It's just the wrong team.
Yeah, you need 50 passes.
What's the right team, Rob? What's the right team then?
It's Buccaneers week.
Oh, okay. I was told Baker Mayfield can't throw the football anymore. Is that not true? We can throw it again. He had one bad week.
Who told you he can throw the football? He's fine.
The internet told me he can't
throw
the ball.
They're at
red zone.
They're against the Saints in the Dome. The Saints have been up tempo for most of their games. They can push back Baker can get back to his MVP level, like it's one game off, and I'm going to be doing probably Baker double or triples against you fellas on Sunday, so be prepared for that. I should have.
Well, that means we should fade him
double.
then. That means we should probably fade him.
Yeah,
I'm playing with Sean White.
Yeah.
Martingale Rob. He's going to get there.
Hey, I played the
Halloween-
Hurts double last week. I don't know you guys, just not against you guys.
I did not. I had the single, unfortunately. It did not quite get there. Is that Ibuka, Trey Johnson, and Otten Shepard?
Why can't you do it with Rashad White?
Okay, fair enough. You're going to
Baker White, Otten, and pick your receiver. All
right, let's talk about this week's movie. This is the end of an era, at least my era, with Liam Neeson. Of course, Rich is going to assign a movie afterwards. We're going to talk about the A-Team. The A-Team, of course, a movie remake. I wouldn't say a remake, inspired by the TV show from the 80s. I'll give the summary according to Rotten Tomatoes. PG-13 came out in 2010, starring, of course, the great Liam Neeson, as well as Bradley Cooper, Rampage Jackson, Jessica Biel. All right, the synopsis, in case you're not aware. A man who loves when a plan comes together. Boy, did they run that one in the ground. Hannibal Smith leads a close-knit team of elite operatives. Framed for a terrible crime, Smith and his men go rogue, using their special talents to clear their names and find their perpetrator. Hot on their trail is Carissa Sosa, who was once involved with a member of Smith's team and has sworn to capture them no matter what it takes. For starters, anybody aware of the TV show? Did we watch the TV show as a child? Anybody?
I missed it. Yeah, I missed it.
I think it used to come on before or after one of the blocks of cartoons when we were kids.
I never remember ever seeing the show, but for some reason I remember being incredibly aware of Mr. T.
Oh yeah,
sure.
Every day.
You're like 19.
He crossed over in different places. Yeah, he was the breakout star. I would say. I think that's fair to say. The breakout star from A-Team was Mr. T. By the way, we can get to it. I was going to get to it later, but Mr. T, of course, they asked him to participate. They wanted to give him a cameo, and I was like, I can't believe Mr. T wasn't in this. And if you guys stuck around for the after credits, the other characters, the other guys, they deleted their scene, but they did throw it in after they showed the scroll and the director and the DP and things like that. But Mr. T said no, thank you. He didn't want to appear in a film that was too violent or included sex scenes, so he politely declined. That's why we did not see Mr. T. But all right,
Mr.
Rob?
T was in the main event of WrestleMania 1, by the way, so show that man some respect.
Hulk Hogan.
Tag teamed with Hulk Hogan.
Okay, there you go.
Against Piper and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
I knew he had some kind of wrestling participation.
He boxed at WrestleMania 2 against Roddy Piper.
Yeah, and in Rocky 3, he boxed, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clubber Lang, I believe, was the name of his character, if not mistaken.
Yep.
All right. Shut up, Mr. T. Rob, I'm going to you first. This just feels like a movie where Rob has some hot takes. So I'm gonna have you open up the floor as far as the A-Team.
Well, when you said this movie came out in 2010, I said yes, because this movie, you could have called this movie 2010. This is the most 2010 movie I've ever seen in my life. I thought it was fun. Like, it's obviously a little too long. They could have cut out some of the jailbreak scenes a little bit. We didn't need 30 minutes of that. Overall, fun. It's sort of a throwback to the action movies that we liked growing up as kids. It was a little too modern, but overall a fun time. I love when your third act is them just telling this insane plan and them factoring in the most insane things to happen that just no one could ever factor in, but yet here we are and it works out. But it's going to get a good score for me because I at least had fun while I was watching this movie. And I even paused it at one point and I knew it was 2 hours. Like, oh, I'm already an hour in. I didn't feel like I was an hour in. So that's a plus for me.
Hour and 58 minutes. Yeah, I felt the same way. I felt like I could have used a trim. Hribar, what do you got?
Yeah, I kind of, echo Rob's sentiments. I had a lot of fun with this. I remember this came out and I was like, oh, I don't have any attachment to the A-Team. But then I was like, oh yeah, when I was watching it and told you before the show, I was like, yeah, this had to have come out like right near Battleship, which we had watched before. And I was like, it had to be like, this is just that period of movies, what they all were like. But yeah, just kind of, I'm a sucker for like these types of just like, these kind of action movies. Thought the cast was largely fine, outside of Rampage Jackson, but they didn't give him much to do anyways, just besides be Rampage Jackson. But they just had Bradley Cooper doing Bradley Cooper stuff. Neeson was doing Neeson stuff. Also, I love a good villain Patrick Wilson, man. I love when we get good, fun Patrick Wilson. I'm in the bag for him. The entire bit where he was in the car with that Pike dude was so good. Like where the dude's like pointing the gun at his face and she's like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" Like I just had a blast at that. Thought like the last two acts of this movie were just kind of just genuinely a good time. And yeah, largely had fun with it.
Can I say I enjoyed the cast too? And like Rampage, you can tell it was his first movie, right? But they really tried to sell us the Jessica Biel like in a serious role, and like bless her heart, like she tried. I was not buying Jessica Biel like in a really serious role in Power. I don't know if you guys. She just for me didn't pull it off. But
spoiler
TJ,
alert: the two hot people hooked up.
Yes. Well, that was an important plot device too. They had the kiss because I was like, wait a second, and like you knew it a sec. Okay, there's something going on here with the kissing. There's a reason why they're doing that in front of everybody. TJ, 18, what do you got?
I had such a funny revelation when I started watching this movie, and I brought up to my wife Ava that I had to watch this movie for this thing, and she goes, "I love that movie." And I didn't know, but this was just like a guilty pleasure favorite for her. She got it. She has it on DVD. She got it as a Christmas present one year. And just like absolutely adores this movie. And so that was really funny to find out. And so we watched the first half together before falling asleep last night. And then I watched the second half today. This was way better than the other shitty Liam Neeson movies that we've been watching. Like in comparison to Battleship, Ice Road Vengeance, this is a masterpiece. Obvious, like it's still it wasn't as good bad as say the Fast and the Furious, and it wasn't as good as say like Mission Impossible, but it was still a fine little action flick with, and I did think it was so funny that, this is post all three hangovers, and there's kind of like a clear transition post hangover in Bradley Cooper's career where he essentially goes like, I want to be a serious actor now. I want to win an Oscar. I want to be like a movie star. And I find it really funny because you can kind of tell that he's in his acting bag in this movie, but just no one else around him is. And then I thought it was really funny. Like he's actually like giving it his all and giving a pretty great performance in multiple different parts of this movie, while Liam Neeson is just doing like, his classic Liam Neeson movie stuff where it's the same. It seems
going
like
through the motions. You can say it. He was
every single scene he's in. It seems like he's trying to give a trailer shot. Like he's trying to like cut a promo in every single scene piece of dialogue that he has. And then I did just think Rampage Jackson sucked. Like I thought that character sucked. I thought the acting sucked.
He did have the best line in the movie though.
What's that?
You can't fly no tank, fool. What's the best thing? Can't fly no tank, fool. I meant to work that into the show earlier. I was thinking on that. I can't wait to work this into my lexicon.
Oh, when they were talking about no running back trades, that'd be a perfect time. You can't fly no tank, fool.
Can't fly no tank, fool.
So just to be clear, they were in a plane, right? They were in a plane fight, right? I just want to make sure I feel like I watched this and I maybe I missed the deleted scene. I just turned my head or something. They're in a plane. The plane got shot down, and somehow the plane they were in, like inside the plane, there was a tank, and the plane was blown up. But then now they're in a tank.
You know how it goes, Dan.
But I know I'm not supposed to question these things.
Have a tank underneath.
I don't know.
Yes,
that's not something I studied.
The whole time it was happening, I was like, yes. Yes.
We're not even going to explain. They didn't even say like, well, this is a special kind of plane. But now they're in a tank that's like parachuting down. Like, okay, that's what we're doing. Daigle?
The part that TJ mentioned where all these Liam Neeson movies have been less fun. It's because, like Battleship, our major complaint was it took itself so seriously. Whereas I felt like this movie understood how dumb it was, and that's what made it so much fun. Again, as someone who didn't watch it, that entire generation just zoomed by me, the A-Team. I also feel like it had to be something that respected the reverence of A-Team. It felt like what the show was based on as well, with all the slapstick. So yeah, I enjoyed it for exactly what it was.
That line, I love it when a plan comes together. That was, I remember that was like a tagline they used to say a lot in the show. I watched the show when I was really, really young. I don't remember much about it, but I do remember that was something that was said often. So I thought one of the fun scenes, like the funny, ridiculous, however you want to interpret it, was like when they were, broke out of jail. And each one, I'm curious, you guys tell me. They each were in separate quarters. They each broke out in their own way. Which was the most ridiculous? Which was the most awesome? One, BA, badass, Baracus, he was on a bus, on like a prison bus. I'm not sure how we know when he was going to be in the bus or not. They shot like they shot like a gun of some sort that attached to the end of the door, and somehow he figured out he was supposed to run to the end of the bus.
He figured it out because of the license plates on the car, Dean. Did you not pay attention to this cinematic storytelling?
I didn't want to get into the minutia, but yeah, you see a license plate and you're, clearly that means it says like emergency. Well, clearly that means I have to run to the back of this bus because something's going to happen. And then Liam Neeson saved him. Another one. So Liam Neeson survived a crematorium. I don't know if you saw that, but he was in a crematorium. They hit the switch. In the crematorium. And he survived it. I didn't know that was a thing you could do.
Yeah, he kicked the flames another direction.
Yeah,
you can just kick flames. That's
the thing. The flames were coming out of. You just gave it a kick. I think I was like, I better slide out of here before it gets too hot.
Again, didn't know that was a thing you can do. So that was the other one.
Don't make me break down the laws of fire here, Dean. It's obviously the way that this would actually go. This is pure.
Bradley
science.
Cooper was stuck in a tanning bed for hours, and like he came out all crispy. And then, of course, the 3D glasses, and then in the mental ward. What was your Rich? What was your favorite rescue? That was my favorite part of the movie. I'm not besmirching. That's the 10-15 minute chunk, whatever it was. I think I enjoyed that the most because it was.
It was great. Also, because Charlotte Copley had like a run where like he was in a bunch of fun things, and what happened to that dude?
I was asking the same question. That's funny you say that.
He was in District 9. He was a Hardcore Henry. Like he had like that run where he was in a bunch of stuff and then just like he's gone.
What if he's
in that weird Tom Cruise movie? Or not Tom Cruise movie, he's in the weird Matt Damon movie, Elysium? Like that. Remember that? Like the forgotten
I saw that movie. I can't tell you anything about that movie other than there was a machine that fixed everybody.
Yeah,
that's
there was that and the Tom Cruise one was Oblivion, right? Like there was like those two like movies.
Yeah,
that was, like just kind of
forgotten. He was in Old Boy. Is that the Old Boy remake that Spike Lee did?
The remake.
Yeah. Hardcore Henry, which is supposed to be a fun action movie. I've never seen it, but it's like a first person action movie. But yeah, we haven't seen a lot of them of late. It's a good question.
But he was always good. I genuinely loved him in the movie though. Thought Charlotte Copley was great.
He was good. Yeah. Rob, did you have a favorite amongst those 4 rescues? Which of those 4 was your favorite? It's tough to choose. It's like choosing your child.
Well, the most ridiculous, I think, is the 3D one, because how do you time that? Like of all things.
Every one of them is ridiculously timed.
Well, did you know Liam Neeson was an Oracle though? And I don't know how the original show was, but he was literally an Oracle.
That's fair. I can tell you what the worst part of this movie was, though.
Jessica Biel.
No, I mean, like, whatever. She was whatever, but they did the whole superhero loses his superpowers thing in the first movie of the franchise, which is like a trope that I hate that superhero movies do like consistently. And they did it in the first movie. Like I want to see BA kicking ass, right? Like that's what his character is. And you take that away from him for 2/3 of the movie. It's like, if you're going to do that, I at least want to see him kick the ass first rather than, just immediately lose like that will to fight. That didn't work for me. in this movie.
Especially if you're casting Rampage Jackson, who's not an actor. He literally just can fight.
No, he has no range. He has no emotional range.
What's he doing there then?
Was he the first choice? Did anyone research this? Like, was he?
Dude, that's what blows my mind about these situations. Like, whenever I see bad acting, I don't think about like the bad acting. I think about the process of getting casted and how many other people were viewed that led to the decision to hire the bad actor. So it's like, I could not get it off my head that Rampage Jackson, like, he went through a process, and that was the best pick they had, apparently.
It had to have just been marketing to the UFC crowd, trying to get as many fans of this movie as you can.
It's like Conor McGregor being in the new Roadhouse, basically. He was the Conor McGregor of the time, I think. That's the way I would see it. And I don't know who else was up for it, but that is a good question. And I feel like I remember he was on the set. He was a distraction, or I guess he didn't really acclimate so much to acting because it's not really his world.
Yeah.
I meant to Google that, but I think he was supposedly trouble on the set. I could be wrong. I don't want to make that up.
Trouble everywhere.
Should have been Michael Jai White.
Okay.
Yeah. It could have worked.
Sure.
He's awesome.
Well, why not Mr. T? Mr. T wanted to be he wanted the main role.
There was too much sex in the movie, gang. There was too much sex.
Too much sex.
Yeah.
This movie could have punched up, I think, if it was rated R and just didn't have the 2010 shaky cam. Like,
I just still don't think it deserved to be as good as it was, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't expect to like it at all, and I was like, oh, well, that was good for what it was. Yeah.
It's fun. We could probably watch it again in 5 years because none of us will remember it.
No. I can't wait to see the scores on this, though. I can't wait to see the what is it, the Rotten Tomatoes and the IMDb on this, because I feel like it's going to be pretty wide here.
So I just did a quick Google, and apparently Jackson had issues with people on the set, some crew members. Difficulties in the set, citing frustrations of the movie making hierarchy and the impact on his physical training. And I don't know if this is probably his only movie. I'm not sure if he got a call back or if anybody had any interest in him doing anything else, but or maybe he had no interest. There was mutual, but I think that's pretty much it for his acting career. Anything else we want to say as far as the A-Team? It sounds like you guys mostly liked it, or like the expectations. Oh, the Mohawk reveal. Did we not talk about the Mohawk reveal? That was amazing. That was. So he's got his Mohawk back.
It's putting the super suit back on, right? It's literally was the superhero trope of the whole thing. But it was my least favorite part of the whole movie.
And
you can't fly no tank full.
They mentioned how many times did they have to tell us that he doesn't like to fly? We get it. He doesn't like flying. They told us that at least 5 different times. They had to remind us that he does not like that. But okay, is that it? We're doing Rotten Tomatoes. We're moving along. I think so. Is that our analysis? I think so. All right.
Last thing, I hate when they. So this is already like a ridiculous movie, right? Where you have to suspend disbelief on so many different things. I hate when they throw in the cheesy like extra character that has a reaction that just wouldn't be the normal reaction from anybody. Like the old woman at the lake when her husband gets like blown up off the boat and she's like smiling and she's just not like absolutely concerned and bewildered. Instead, it's like, I hate those cheap like laugh things that they try to throw into movies like that. It's like, I already have to suspend disbelief so much. You're pushing me too far at this point with stuff like that. So
was that like a come down after like a big action scene and then they showed like a quiet? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, where the tank falls into the like he's on the boat. She's yelling at him from the shore, and then he's throwing. Was he throwing dynamite to fish with?
Yeah, he was fishing with dynamite. He was literally fishing with dynamite. Also, they drove that tank. That tank fell out of the sky into the water, and they drove that up out of that lake. Like,
again,
what an incredible sequence of events that happened.
Why wouldn't they?
When that tank crashes into her husband, and he could have easily been dead, and she just smirks, that made me laugh.
That whole 10 minutes was the whole fourth quarter of Giants Broncos. Like, it was just, you can't fly no tank, fool. That's what they told the Bo Nix. They looked at Bo Nix and I was like, you can't fly no tank, fool. And I was like, watch me.
They finished the game, and Sean Payton says he loves when a plan comes together. So yeah, it all worked out.
Daigle, give me the Rotten Tomatoes score, both for the critics and for the audience.
Fans loved it, critic hate it. So fans, let's go 87. Critics, let's go 61.
TJ?
It's probably too high for critics.
Same premise, but I don't think it's going to be that high for either. I'll go critics 49, fan 69.
Rob?
You are still going to have the detractors that thumbs down it because it's not the original A team. Because people don't know how to disassociate anything.
Be happy.
I'll say 82 though for the fans.
Oh.
And I will give the critics 55 white chocolate.
Jason Williams, you're going by his number. So, Rich, what do you have as far as the critics and the audience score for the A team?
Yeah, definitely a higher audience score, but I would say this is probably a thumbs down for the critics. So I'll say 40% critics, 70% audience.
I should have went 43 for critics. It's going to be low.
So I think 43 might have been the closest. No, I think TJ was the closest. 48. The critics were split. 48 for the critics, and 2 out of 3, 66% for the audience. So
the
audience
much higher. Wow.
Yeah, 48 for the critics, 66% for the audience. Now let's knock out IMDb score 1 through 10. Rich, what do you got?
Oh, this is the most 6.5 movie that's ever existed.
6.5. Rob, what say you?
Just so I don't have to make the dumb joke, we'll go 6.8.
Almost nice.
Or you could do 6.7.
That was the one I was actually talking about. Really.
Oh, not 69.
Yeah, that's the newer joke. Yeah, that's the newer joke, and the kids are saying these days. TJ, explain to us what 6.7 means. TJ, where do you want to go 1 through 10 IMDb?
Dean, I'm a 32-year-old man.
You're the
32-year-old man.
By elimination.
I'm 40. I'm a man. I'm 40. I will go 6.1.
Daigle?
That's what I was going to do. Speaking of train, Brian Schottenheimer used 6.7 in his press conference the other day. Like Dak and him were just made for each other, just to nerd up the entire freaking facility.
Speaking of train got me, and I don't know why.
I'll go.
That's the jump the shark moment, right? When Brian, it's over, and then now it's over. You can't make the 6.7 reference anymore.
Oh yeah, when Schottenheimer does anything, because he thinks he's cool. Just ask him. But that dude is wow. I'll go 6. I wanted to do 6.1. I'll go 6.
Rob, your instincts would have been correct. It is a 6.7.
Damn.
The team is a 6.7 on IMDb. So there you go. We have to give it a score, and then Rich is going to tell us what movie we're watching next week. Daigle, we want a wrestler. What wrestler tells me what the A team is?
I think it's too obvious, so I'm going to change it up. But Hulk Hogan is too obvious. Like Rob said, already gave spoiler alerts where he was Mr. T's friend and tag team partner. And so I'm going to go the opposite way. And it's still a little bit obvious, but I think the one that most correlates to this, I wish he was funnier, but then again, he did have some comedic bits when he came back and made visits, was Sergeant Slaughter. So we're going to go ahead and give it that grade.
Sergeant Slaughter. There you go. Not the one when he was like a sympathizer. You're talking about the American Sergeant Slaughter one, right?
Yes. Classic Sergeant Slaughter. I think makes the most sense for a grade here.
Sergeant Slaughter, classic. It felt like the wrestling term. This movie felt overbooked. It felt a little overbooked for me, but purposely overbooked. I think it kind of makes sense. But Rob, do you approve of? I have to go to Rob. Rob, do you approve Sergeant Slaughter?
I think it's a good one. I think I would have gone Ultimate Warrior because it's like high energy the entire way, just from the time the music hits. It's chaotic. It's sloppy. It's dangerous. Like it's probably hurting his opponents in this movie as well.
We went a different direction, but yeah, I get it.
Rob, 1 through 5, you got a score?
3-3, I think, is fitting for this movie. It's better than a lot of contemporary action movies. It's still got its flaws, but it's a fun watch, and it's going to be fun to watch. Like I said, like every 5 years, because you'll forget about it, and you'll watch it like, oh yeah, this movie was okay. I don't remember any of it, but it was fun. Oh, they flew a tank in this movie. How did I forget?
Where did that tank come from? Inside the plane?
Were there supposed to be more of these?
Oh, for sure.
They set
right?
up a sequel. They definitely set up a sequel, I think. And it probably didn't do that well. It's a good question. I don't know.
I bet it made money. I bet it made a little bit of money.
Probably overseas. You think overseas they liked it? I don't know.
Which means if it made the money that it made then today, there would be 6 sequels because movies don't make money anymore. So,
TJ, I need a superhero.
This movie made 177 million worldwide.
Wow. I thought it'd make less.
With a budget of 110 million.
Okay.
So it lost money.
Yeah, it lost money. That's why there were no more.
I mean, it's on the streaming services now, right? These things are kind of always still making money, so it was probably closer to a broke-even movie.
It probably made
what
its
did this
money
open next to? Did it open with something hot?
Domestic opening 25 million.
No, I'm talking about like
I know.
What else came out around this?
Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Because I remember the previews to this and not ever even thinking about going to see it.
I do remember the previews. Yes.
So the Jackie Chan Karate Kid was in the theaters at this time in 2010.
Geez.
As well
Was
as
the first Avatar out at this? Was this first Avatar season, or was that a winter movie?
That was before.
So Winter's Bone,
Christmas, isn't it?
Jennifer Lawrence's first big movie, Winter's Bone, which I don't think did very good in the box office, but that's when
that wasn't a box office.
Jennifer Lawrence's first big movie was The Hunger Games.
Yeah.
No. But as far as people realize she can act, she was discovered from Winter's Bone. Wasn't that before Hunger Games, or am I making that up? Am I wrong? I think Winter's Bone before.
Winter's Bone was first.
Right? Yeah, that's when people realize, she can act. Let's put her in something that can make money. I think.
Toy Story 3 came out the week after this.
Oh,
okay.
Well.
So yeah, it had a small window.
Steamrolled at that point, right?
There's not very much else that I'm seeing in the theaters around this time.
What did Toy Story 2 finish with? Like $1 zillion?
A lot of money. Yeah. A lot of money for sure.
It made too much money. They had to ruin the trilogy by making a fourth because it just couldn't.
Was this a good summer? Was this a good summer of movies?
TJ, do we have a superhero?
Yeah, I was just when I had to make one more funny. No, I was making one more funny reference to when you said Winter's Bone was Jennifer Lawrence's first big movie. What do you think Winter's Bone's domestic opening was?
4 million? Not even.
Oh, $25,000.
It's John Hall's.
$84,000.
I knew it was something like that.
And is that before? That's before all the Hunger Games stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. It's a good movie. But
anyways, for a superhero, again, not somewhat a low-hanging fruit, but I'm going with another hero from another Bradley Cooper team-up movie, a leader that takes himself very serious, but his teammates do not take him serious, nor do his writers. And that is Star-Lord. That was the first guy I thought of with this movie. Just a very goofy Guardians of the Galaxy-ish vibe if Guardians of the Galaxy didn't have a genius writer behind it.
Daigle's so happy because he knows that one.
I did. You saw my eyes perk up. I was like, I know this superhero.
He was like, hell yeah.
Have you ever seen Guardians of the Galaxy, Dean?
No, I know that, but what was the name of the character again?
Star-Lord, the main character.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt.
Oh, I didn't know that was his name. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
and this had the scene in it, like Chris Pratt, where Bradley Cooper clearly got in shape, and they're like, "How do we get a scene where I get to show off all my body here?"
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
100%. They built that scene around how do we get the one where he was in the.
That's what they did at Chris Pratt and the first Guardians too. It's like, hey man, I didn't do this for nothing. I need the shot.
That was the reason Mr. T said no to being in the movie. Just too sex.
That was the too much sex. Was Bradley?
Yeah, that was too much sex. Was that Bradley Cooper scene?
It's a fine line. There will be no tanning. Rich, give me a tight end.
This was I did enjoy this. It was kind of movie that slipped through the cracks. Maybe it was just surrounded by too many good things. So I think with that all in mind, I think this is a Brent Jones. If you remember Brent Jones, he was on those superstar 49ers teams, but had a really solid career, man. This was a really good football player. Was a baller. Just goes overshadowed because he played with freaking Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Roger Craig, and Tom Rathett, and
John Taylor.
Yeah, John Taylor, man. Was a baller, though. Brent Jones, he could hoop, man.
10-year career. His best season looks like, let's see, age 27 in 1990. He had 56 catches for 747 yards and 5 touchdowns. But
this is the most 700-yard. This is the most 700-yard 5-touchdown movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, you didn't even have to give us those stats, Steve. We all remember that season.
I also do love, just like I get heat checked by Rob just to make sure I'm paying attention and my wrestling scores are on point. I can always count on a box score because Dean always follows it up with Pro Football Reference whenever Reeves says a tight end every single week.
Well, yeah, I wanted to make sure. I'm curious. I remember Brent Jones, but I wanted to see what his best season was. And people out there, some people probably like Brent Jones. Who's that? Yeah, a little bit of color. Who Brent Jones was.
I will never get a box score on TJ's pick and all the appearances they have.
Well, what's the box score for what was the guy's name? Starman or something?
Starman's a whole different thing, Dean. Jeff Bridges, right?
It's 3 movies. No, wait, I guess you have to include the Avengers, so it's more than that.
I don't know. Is there a box score for that? If there was, I would go to it. I don't know where to go. I got to ask ChatGPT, apparently.
Incredible.
Check out the total box office for movies that have Star-Lord in it.
Have you seen a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, Dean?
I've seen the first 2, and I actually enjoyed them. I enjoy. Yeah. It's not like my wheelhouse, but they're fun. Like Deadpool, they're fun. It's not something I necessarily gravitate to, but they're just enjoyable. They don't take themselves too seriously. I like there's probably some inside jokes I'm not getting, but the ones I get, I like. I like that they have a good time. So yeah, it's not necessarily something I seek out, but I've liked.
Also a Bradley Cooper movie.
Yeah, he's the raccoon. I'm sure he's got a name. Is a raccoon?
Raccoon.
Which is funny because when Bradley Cooper was screaming, shooting the tank, you're like, oh, this is where the hiring came from. Rocket was created within this scene.
What's the guy that says only one word? What's that guy's name? Groot. Yeah, I am Groot. That's Vin Diesel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's showing off his range. All right.
I mean, yeah, that's probably Vin Diesel's range, to be honest.
He played so many different ages of that character, Daigle. Do not disrespect Vin Diesel.
He changed his voice, his cadence.
Well, it's like Pikachu, right? You could say it so many different ways. Is that sort of the idea there?
Isn't his claim to fame that TJ will know that he did all the dubs in every language, like for the Iron Groot?
Yeah.
Like he did them all.
Yeah, that took him an extra 20 minutes.
Could you grunt in Korean?
He's like, yeah, I'll work through lunch for this, I guess.
All right, yeah. Rich, how are we going to top the A team? You said you already have a movie in mind. So
I do. Now I wish I should just pick Guardians 3, but I think since Rob failed and we are approaching, this is his time of the year to give us a movie, and he failed us. But it does line up perfectly for a movie that I wanted to see that opens on HBO on Friday, which is Weapons. So I know Rob has seen it, but we are going to do Weapons because I wanted to see it, and I'm just going to use it as my opportunity to pick the movie.
Awesome.
I'm going to tell everyone that is going to watch this movie with us, don't look up a trailer. Go into this movie as blind as possible before you watch it, and don't read anything on it. Just watch it. Just watch the movie.
I've only seen the kids hold their arms back and run around. That's all I know. So
Julie
I'm not going to look upset about with a bunch of hot dogs.
Have you seen it, TJ?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't know.
All I see is a photo with a bunch of hot dogs.
Because I know it's not your genre, but you also see a lot of new things. So
yeah. No, it's one that it was I figured if got picked on this show or if I had to watch it for a podcast or something, then I would. Otherwise, I was going to let it slip through the cracks.
Cool. I'm excited. I want to see it.
Yeah, as am I. I like that call. I like the call, Rich. That was definitely something I was going to
That'll be HBO. If anyone's listening, it's Friday on HBO is when it comes out. HBO Max.
What was A-Team on for you guys?
Netflix. It just dropped on Thursday, most previous Thursday, so it was like a sign. You know,
I'm pretty
the
sure
day
it
after
just
this.
got removed from Netflix on Thursday for me.
Well, you saw
But
it. You saw
it was
just
on
in
Disney
time.
Plus, so it was fine.
Yeah, TJ, if you guys are unaware, TJ's watching it in Canada, different streamings, and you don't have there's no Hulu up there in Canada, right? That's not a thing. Doesn't exist.
No, Hulu and Disney Plus are one combined thing. It's like they're not combined. Hulu doesn't exist, but anything that would be on Hulu is just on Disney Plus.
Which I think is going to
That's new
happen
here.
next year for America too. I'm pretty sure Hulu's going away, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's going to merge with the. All right, going. What do you mean? You're in the weeds too?
I mean, they're all going to merge eventually. We're just going to run the circle of life where we all have cable again.
It's cable. It's just going to be cable.
we're going to get back there.
The commercials now they're running on every single one of them at this point, unless you're paying an extra
Prime Video
$12.
for me has like HBO Max, Paramount Plus, Peacock, all of these things included. Apple TV now included. It literally just is cable.
We got to move to Canada. We got to buy them everything a la carte. At least I do, except for there's a few bundles. All right, we took 2 hours of the people time. Appreciate y'all watching, y'all listening. We do enjoy that. Let us know your favorite train song in the comment section.
There's only one.
Drops of Jupiter. Is that the chalk? What's the chalk? What's the one you're thinking of? Daigles or something else?
That's the only one they've ever made, as far as I'm concerned.
Drops of Jupiter in her hair, yeah.
I saw Train like 2 years before they broke, opening up for a band maybe Better Than Ezra or something like that. I'm really dating myself.
I know better than Ezra. I've seen Better Than Ezra.
Yeah, they're pretty good live. Good is probably the first song people would know by then. Pretty cool bass line. But all right, let's step aside. Let's get out of here. We've kept way too long as far as the people. For John Daigle from ETR, Rich Hribar, Sharp Football Analysis, TJ from Agents of Fandom, as well as RotoGrinders, Rob from Hometown Ghost Stories, Spike Week. I was Dean. Also for Brent Jones and for Pat Monahan. Go win something this week. We're out of here. Holler.
You can't fly no tank fool.